Stadium. Lots of rain over the past few days, and it certainly has the ground here, the outfield, in pristine condition. The good news is, doesn't appear to be too much moisture in the air this evening, so we should be in for an exciting game. It's the final game of this five-match series, T20 series between Australia and the West Indies. And if you've been following, you'll know the West Indies have a 3-1 lead, an unassailable lead. They've taken the series already, but we were in for a nail-biter of a 4-run match in the last game on Wednesday evening. Australia finally getting on the scorecard. My name's Sunil Ramdeen on behalf of the entire commentary team. Joseph Reds Pereira, Ryan O'Brien, and Julian Charles. We bid you welcome, and let me say a good evening to Mr. Joseph Reds Pereira.
Well, that's a very respectful way of coming to me. I can tell you this morning we did have some rain in the area. I live a little closer to the ground than you did, but somewhere around 8 o'clock, there was in fact very overcast, and it looked very, very worrisome from a weather point of view, but from about 9:30, it cleared up, and we had sun all day.
So Reds, let's take our listeners immediately out to the middle for the toss.
It's 5-match series beckons, and for that I've got both captains out in the middle. Nicholas Pooran, captain of the West Indies; Aaron Finch, captain of Australia; and of course the ever-present match referee Sir Richie Richardson to oversee proceedings. Nicholas, you've got the coin. Why don't you give it a flick? Heads is the call. Tails it is. So Nicholas, you're not used to winning the toss. Your first win. What are you going to do first, and why?
We're going to bat first.
And why is that?
You know, the final game of the tournament, the series, we just want to put some runs on the board. Try to get as much as we can and just put some pressure, especially with the wind factor here, especially with the shorter boundary being with the wind.
And just to put things in perspective, as captain, as wicketkeeper, the responsibility of calling for those referrals and a key batsman as well. How has that challenge been, and do you relish it as captain?
Yes, you know, it's important, especially with two referrals. We just feel like sometimes we need a break as well in the game. So, you know, taking it gives the bowlers some time to, you know, just relax and clear the head and go again. You know, sometimes we're going to get it wrong for sure, but that's fine.
And you already won the series a couple of games ago, but with the ODI is imminent, how important is a win tonight?
Very important for us, you know. We want to, you know, come out victorious tonight, but we can only do that by, you know, doing the right things. With the Windies coming up, you know, it's important for us to carry that momentum into Tuesday game.
And changes for tonight?
One change, Darren Bravo is in, Akil Hussain is out.
Thank you very much. Go
Thank you.
well. Aaron, if you can just join me here for a quick chat. Aaron, some improvements in that last game, both with bat and ball. You want to continue that tonight, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the partnership was important to help build us towards that 190 total. We bowled some brilliant overs to that middle overs as well.
We saw a familiar trend with a middle order collapse. What has been the message to those guys, some of whom are still trying to find their way in international cricket?
Yeah, it's about finding your own way to play the spin through the middle in particular. I think it hasn't been a case of trying to go too hard or not hard enough. It's just been individual plans. Stick to them and back yourself.
And team news for you?
We've got 4 changes. Mitchell Stark is out. Well, I'll go through who's in. Josh Hazlewood's in. AJ Ty, Mitchell Swepson, and Josh Phillips is in.
That's a good effort, mate. All the best.
Thanks, mate.
And the news from out in the middle, well, the West Indies have won the toss and they've decided to bat first.
Thank you very much, Samuel Badri. Nicholas Pooran winning his first test. One addition to the West Indies squad. Akil Hussain is out. Darren Bravo, who we understand was drafted into the final 14, a very last minute, brought in Reds' unchanged squad. But we were talking about Bravo's inclusion just earlier.
Yes, it's not the strong point of his game, and he hasn't played a great deal of T20 cricket. But, you know, we were all surprised, and you felt at least you would have seen, you know, maybe a press release or something on the West Indies website that Bravo was drafted in.
Yeah, it did came out very late with Bravo being drafted in, and I have to thank Philip Spooner for that. But as you pointed out, Reds, not really lit up the place in T20s, Bravo. He's played 20 games, just has 340 T20 international runs, a high score of 43, an average of 20. Much better in terms of franchise T20 cricket. But him having a play will be very important as we look toward the World Cup.
Yes, and I think it's a sensible thing to bring in a batsman. You've got the captain out, whether he will be simply making sure that he's good for Barbados. Hetmeyer, another batsman out, so therefore they were short of two. And Fletcher's not been in any kind of form, so to boost the batting was the sensible thing to do.
Agreed, of course, Reds, with the ODIs around the corner in Barbados, and Bravo expected maybe to play a greater role in that. The West Indies final squad, Andre Fletcher, Evan Lewis, Chris Gale, Lendl Simmons, Darren Bravo, Nicholas Puran, Andre Russell, Fabian Allen, Hayden Walsh Jr., O'Shane Thomas continues, and Sheldon Cottrell. Unlike the West Indies with one change, the Aussies have rung in the changes. 4 persons coming in.
Well, they brought a big squad, and maybe this is the last night of the T20, and all the players who probably haven't had a run have been able to suit up and play tonight. For example, the leg spinner who comes in, Swetson, 34 years of age. I'm sure he is looking forward to playing and having a bowl.
Yeah, to just give you an idea of who will be playing for the Baggy Greens this evening: Aaron Finch, Josh Felipe, Mitchell Marsh, Moises Enriquez, Alex Carey, Matthew Wade, Mitchell Swepson, he's in playing his first game, Andrew Tai, Jason Behrendorff continues, had a good game last game, Adam Zampa and Josh Hazelwood. And as you said, Reds, Swepson, leg break bowler, he'll be there to support Zampa.
Yep, from the state of Tasmania, getting an opportunity late in life. Just to come back, 27 years of age, so maybe not that late. And I would think that the one I refer to, who is getting an opportunity very late in life, but he did play for King's Punjab, and Andrew Tai, 34, 6'3", got some height.
Yeah, he does have some height, certainly has a lot of experience as well. And as you said, into the IPL, didn't play till a couple of years after, but on debut he got 5 wickets, including a hat-trick.
The person who is really due is Carey and Wade, if I can bunch those two guys together. Oh, Australia, a few runs.
They certainly do, and it was one of the questions put to the Australian skipper Aaron Finch. They're certainly trying to find their way in the middle order. Mitchell Marsh, he's been a consistent performer, scored 75 in the last match, and of course with 3 wickets to earn him the player of the match award. We certainly expect to see a really tight contest this evening. And if you just join us, Nicholas Puran winning the toss. He's elected to bat. We'll have a few more comments from Joseph Reds Pereira, and then it'll be Ryan O'Brien in with Julian Charles.
Yeah, well, the confidence should be high. The captain referred to the partnership of 114 between himself and Marsh. But if you take that out of 189, there's an indication that the rest of the batting did not fire. And the rest of the batting is still to fire overall. The all-rounders haven't really chipped in with a 30 and 40 and 50. So their confidence should be high. The West Indies obviously want to make it a 4-1 situation. Australia, the newspaper suggesting this morning that Australia missed an opportunity to win the first game. They were 104 for 4, and then all fell down. So the West Indies looking to end with a success story after losing the last game. Australia looking to try and make up for their early loss. Ryan O'Brien will soon be along with Julian Charles, looking very dapper, retired, now enjoying life. But he says he's been very busy for morning. Maybe chores for the wife, that's what has kept him busy. Ryan, it is all yours.
Yes, good evening to you, Reds, and good evening to all our listeners. Well, we're going to have the start of the 5th and final T20 International between the West Indies and Australia. The West Indies winning the toss, Nicholas Puran winning his first toss of the series. and immediately deciding that West Indies, they're going to take their first knock. And he's saying that they're looking to put some runs on the board. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Australians can continue with some momentum, whether they will pull 2 games back off in this series, or whether the West Indies will continue to show some dominance and have a 4-1 win. We say good evening to Julian Charles, and Rez has already exposed what his day's activities were like.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. Good evening, all listeners, and Reds, thanks for your very flattering comments to start off. But I must say that Ryan does have a pretty good-looking shirt on him as well. But it's all serious tonight for cricket. The Australians will want to play for pride. They will want to ensure that the whole series is brought to some kind of form of equality in terms of results. They would be looking for a 3-2 result, and the West Indies will want to show that it was a dominating series for them with a 4-1 victory.
Well, and Fletcher, with 650s under his belt, he's going to take first strike, and with him is Evan Lewis, 43 matches, 1,198 runs, averaging 31, and he's got 850s and 200s in this format. They're waiting for play to start, and the umpires for this encounter, Leslie Reefer Jr. and Nigel Duguid, and this first delivery one in which Fletcher just comes across, and they go through for a pretty quick single, and the West Indies off and running. The first delivery, Behrendorff opening the attack for the Australians from the northern end, and the West Indies off the mark immediately, Julian.
Yes, good ball from Behrendorff, just a short of a length, the ball rising into the body of Fletcher, handle it properly to pulling away the bottom hand and scumpering through for a single.
So the West Indies making some at least change at the top, giving Fletcher an opportunity to really face the new ball. He's off the mark of his first delivery. Lendl Simmons, the man who's really been the most outstanding for the West Indies in the series with 204 runs. He is down to come at number 4, Chris Gale at 3. And Lewis is getting his first delivery on the pad, losing his footing momentarily. This one is just pushed into the onside by Lewis. He will get off the mark as well as that one. Just losing his footing a bit. And Josh Phillip, who is back into the team today, he comes across the pickup and just 1 run to the score. 2 without loss, the West Indies. We've had 2 deliveries so far in the over, and both batsmen getting off the mark. So they'll be looking for a decent start. The boundaries are not available. They will need to keep the strike rotating as Fletcher waits once more for Behrendorff, and his delivery doesn't go through outside the off stump, and it will be taken by the keeper. So as you heard, West Indies looking for a decent start, and umpire Duguid standing at the northern end. The Australians just starting with 1 slip. There's an orthodox mid-on just on the edge of the circle, and also looking to see if they can have some more attacking fielders. Ty, the fielder at mid-on, is coming in for his first game of the series, as this next delivery from Behrendorff again, forcing the defensive shot from Andre Fletcher, just getting behind that one and playing it back up the track, the ball in his follow-through fields. So Fletcher would know how important it is for him to make an impact in this match. Hasn't really featured that much, and has not really had the sort of scores, just 9 and 4 in the 2 innings that he's played so far. You've seen Behrendorff turning at the northern end, passes the umpire, and this one is looking to push off the outer edge. The fielder comes off the third man boundary and quickly gets a return in. That's Josh Hazelwood down at third man, and they cross for another single. So Fletcher moves up to 2. Lewis, so his 1-1 comes into strike 3 without loss, and a decent start by Behrendorff, Julian Charles.
Yes, indeed. But one gets the impression that this is the calm before the storm. Soon there will either be fireworks or there will be wicket. The pitch is very flat, looking pretty good from out here. And the West Indians have been in very good form in the first 6 overs or so, as well as the Australians.
Well, Bredendorf to complete his first over. This first over. And this one is on the pad and whipped away. Lovely over long on. Lovely shot by Lewis. It was right up. He just came forward and just with a flick of the wrist helped it over long on. So we've had the first maximum of the innings. Evan Lewis of the final delivery of the first over, taking the West Indies to 9 without loss. And certainly brimming with confidence, Julian Charles.
Yes, indeed. Evan was showing his class with this one, pitched upon his pads, and he lifted it up confidently and handsomely over the wideish mid wicket area, emphasizing what we've been saying, that we believe that the pitch is full of runs and it's a matter of time for the West Indies to get going.
Well, this is just his fourth game of their 5-match series, rather his third. Didn't play in the second or third games, didn't score in the first match, got 31 in the last game. That came down so exciting in the end. And this time he's going to be looking for another good score, as it's going to be Fletcher who will take strike from the northern end and operating from the south for the Australians, Hazelwood. And the West Indies 9 without loss after the first. Hazelwood 13 matches, 13 wickets, 31.92 his T20 international career, best 4 for 30. He's going to be looking to better that this evening. Has been a bit checkered in this series. Some success early on, but it's not really been able to be amongst the leading bowlers as far as the Australians are concerned. Here he is once more past his umpire Reef, and this time Fletcher just coming forward and guiding that one square into the offside. So Hazelwood attacking just outside the off stump, and Fletcher being careful, just coming across, looking to set the foundation for the West Indies. You've just had 8 deliveries so far in the innings, and we saw that the Australians showing some sort of form in their last game, and I'm sure they'll be looking to restrict the West Indies to make their target as small as possible this evening in this 5th and final game. Looking to win at least 2 in the series. This one is off on the pad, and we're just looking to turn it down the onside. Doesn't seem to have been any contact made by Fletcher. Maybe just a stifle appeal, and it's clearly that one heading down the leg side.
Yeah, Fletcher just looking to play himself in. It's a sign of lack of form and a lack of confidence at the moment. Just a series of defensive shots. Normally, Andrew Fletcher would be looking to hit the ball straight back overhead or whip it through the onside.
So it's going to be Hazelwood continuing halfway through his first over. Passes umpire Reef, and this one is short outside the off stump and delicately cut down to the third man there by Fletcher. The fielder just moving to his right, cutting it off before it could have gone into the boundary. So they continue to get the runs as Bredendorf moving quickly from third man. Just a single. It was traveling pretty quickly to him. 10 without loss. And Fletcher moves to 3, and Lewis, who struck that very lovely 6 over the wideish long on position, comes back into strike. He's going to be taking guard for the first delivery that he's going to face of the bowling of Hazelwood. And we've had 4 balls into the second over, 18.2 remaining in this West Indies innings. Again, Hazelwood passes the umpire, and this delivery short, and pulling is Lewis down to the third man, or the wideish mid-wicket region. The signal coming now from umpire Reef, maybe not really getting it in the sweet spot, Julian Charles, but sufficiently over the infield as part of the power play restriction, and getting away with it, maybe a bit high on the bat and maybe even some extra pace there from Hazel, but still the final result is all what he will need.
Yes, this one into the body of Lewis, so he was not able to free his arms as he would like to, but still manages to get it over the boundary for 4.
Well, anything short, we know he will go at it. He loves them short. Evan Lewis, he's on 11 as his delivery is again maybe just short of a good length, worked off the pad. Sufficient time for them to pick up a single. Alex Carey coming off the backward square boundary. 15 without loss, and the West Indies does this score, winning the toss, deciding to bat. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
Bro, did you know that if you switch to LED lighting throughout your home, that you could save as much as 80% on your lighting costs?
Yes, man.
And did you know, wait, you knew that?
Of course, I also know that with using LED lights, I get brighter lighting that lasts longer and is better for the environment too. And by choosing my LED lights from Caribbean LED, I get up to 3 years warranty.
Wow, you know very much.
I hear all the ads on radio for Caribbean LED. Call them and ask at 621-0092 or visit them in Lower Estate or Wildy if you don't believe me.
Berendorf will continue conceding 9 runs in his first over. We just had 6 off the second, 15 without loss at the West Indies, and the left-handed Berendorf into Lewis, and this one worked down to mid-on. Will get the single as the fielder just having to move to his left, Mitchell Marsh, and he picks up. Lewis goes to 13, and Fletcher comes back in the strike. He's on 3-16 without loss. The West Indies currently going at 7.38 and the partnership up to 16. So it's a decent start at this stage of the game. 7.38, pretty decent for the West Indies. The left-hander again is up and is looking to hit that one somewhere over long on. And certainly a bit ill-advised there, Julian Charles. True, although it's a bit early, they've got the infield. But that shot looked a bit risky.
It's one of his favorite no-look shots, one would say, where he looks to whip the ball over mid-wicket and whilst looking straight down the ground. This time not getting hold of it.
Here is tapping once more at his crease. Will be looking for some runs to redeem his low score so far in the series. This one is looking to just play quietly on the onside, gets it down to the vacant backward square position. The fielders come in off the backward square region and they go through for a single, relatively easy, 17 without loss. Again, the strike is rotated, so they will need to do that. The boundaries are not coming with the frequency that they would need in the power play. They must ensure that they get the singles. So Fletcher moves to 4. He's already faced 10 deliveries. He's been tentative, looking to be shown under some pressure, looking to stay around for as long as he can, occupy the crease until he's confident enough to get going. It's Lewis who is on 13. He's just faced 5 balls and 1-4 and 1-6. He's waiting for the bowler, Berendorf, who will now wait also as he is held up momentarily by umpire Duguid, seeing the fielders into the respective positions. And this one is a mighty heave by Lewis. Doesn't make contact. Maybe just passing between himself and the stumps. The current rate at 7.71. They're looking to step it up, and knowing how important it is, Julian Charles, to really capitalize on the power play.
Yes, indeed, but it was also a free hit, and again the bowler overstepped, so the free hit continues. Lewis trying to hit this one out of the ground, was unable to contact. It was a clever slow ball.
Yes, and a very big way over the front crease this time. Berendorf, and this delivery is full and he takes maximum advantage of it this time, goes all the way between the stand to our left here from our commentary position and the other end of the Castries stand into the parking area between the stand and the party stand area. So Lewis will get his second 6 of the evening. He moves up to 19 and the score to 25 without loss.
It was a huge 6 by Lewis. Berendorf just missing his length and bowling a full toss just where the doctor would have ordered it for Lewis. And Lewis lifting the ball through his favourite mid-wicket area and clearing the boundary by some 30 or 40 yards.
And it was really served on a platter. It was just on about the knee and very full. Didn't really have that much pace. And Lewis, with lots of time, helped it way over the boundary. And as you said, it actually went into the paved area between the stand and the party stand area, and I'm just having a look at the ball before handing it back to Berendorf after it has come back onto the field of play to ensure that everything is quite in order for the resumption of play. So Lewis rushes up to 19, the score to 25 without loss as Berendorf in once more, this time short delivery. And making some room there was Lewis, guiding that square on the offside for Aaron Finch, the Australian captain, to field, and there is no run. 25 without loss, so a good comeback, keeping it rather equal, keeping him honest. Lewis making some room, maybe taking that one just off the off stump. Julian Charles, it seems that he's really picking up the length early.
Absolutely. He's been in very good form throughout the series, and it continues here.
So just 2 extras in the innings, 2 no balls. He's passing the umpire on this one is short, and he's looking to pull, doesn't really get it. It's down too long off, but just between the bowler who's just tried to turn and see if he could have gotten to it, and also the advance of the mid-off fielder. But luckily for him, it falls between the two of them, and a lucky escape there for Lewis. Looking to pull that one, Hazelwood couldn't make up the ground, and it fell just between himself and the bowler Berendorf. So good let off for Lewis, although it didn't go to hand, but it could have gone anywhere. 25 without loss. Lewis is on 19, and Berendorf is down the leg side. What a shot, just picking it up like a super sweep, as if it was a slow bowler, and really taking advantage. I think we played it there on length view, and just is on the up, just outside the pads. Lovely shot by him, and it goes all the way down to the long on boundary, way over, and what a shot. So he's picked up his third 6, Evan Lewis. He's now up on 25. It's 31 without loss, and he had the completion of 3 overs.
Yes, indeed. Berendorf not bowling a good over at all. I think he's feeling the pressure and power of Lewis. And this last ball, tried a slower one, but misdirected it down the leg side, and Lewis just helping it, sweeping it along as if it was a spinner, as you said, right?
Yes, inconsistency both in length and in line. So we got the start of a new over, and Fletcher again not timing it, looking to really tug it past Hazelwood, who is starting his second over, gets a no run, 31 without loss. So Fletcher not able to get any sort of fluency so far in this innings. He's been out there for 11 balls, maybe feeling the pressure. He's on 4, particularly with your partner going along so merrily. Lewis 25 from 10 balls, 1 for 1, 3 sixes, as Hazelwood starts again. This time he's passing umpire reef, and this one is hit down over long on by Fletcher, just going with that. We'll wait for the signal. Let's go all the way. Yes, the signal coming now from umpire reefer. So just taking that one on the up is a bit close to him as well, Julian. Just getting under it and helping it over long on. And Andre Fletcher gets into the arc. He's picked up 6 runs off that delivery. The second in over number 4 being bowled by Hazelwood. And another maximum to the West Indies, 37 without loss.
Yes, Fletcher getting under this one and hitting it for 6 straight down, but it probably was a 12 in terms of the height that it went.
Well, that will help his stats a bit. He's into double figures. This one is short, and he's just using the short arm pull. The fielder just rushing off the backward square boundary, looking to restrict them to just the single. Yes, it is a bit of an awkward bounce to the keeper, Matthew Wade. And both batsmen now looking to establish the sort of partnership that they would need to get the West Indies batting into a position where they can power their way into the middle overs and the final 5 overs of this innings. Lewis comes in to strike. He's on 25. Fletcher moves to 11. We've got 3 deliveries left in over number 4. The current rate is down a bit, 10.86. And they will, I'm sure, be looking to get maybe somewhere in the vicinity of 14, 15 by the end of this innings. That should be the target. This one's delivery well pitched up, worked off the pad. The fielder from the short mid-wicket position coming in, rifles the return in, and the bowler not in a position to pick it up. The captain, Aaron Finch, quickly moving to his left, using his good arm, but the bowler Hazelwood wasn't at the stumps, and in the end had to be backed up by the fielder at the mid-off position. And Fletcher will come into strike, and Lewis goes up by 1. The partnership easing up to 39. So a good start for the West Indies under the conditions, and Lewis looking to add to his tally of 31 runs in the series. And as we said, this is just his 3rd game. Hazelwood with his 5th delivery in his second over. This one is way outside the off stump, and Fletcher looking to really spot this one wide outside the off stump, and so wide that we can see Wade taking that one just about shoulder height. So Fletcher would have really had to stretch and maybe looking for any bats on that to see if he could have picked up the ball.
Yes, indeed. A clever piece of bowling by Hazelwood. He saw the initial little chip down the wicket by Fletcher, and he hammered it into the pitch, and Fletcher a bit late on the shot.
Yeah, he actually made it look wider than it actually was, because he had moved the leg looking to make some room. to cut that one. This one is just worked up the pad. A much better looking shot from Fletcher, but it's a feeler down at the backward square position. They just get their single. So one more to the score. Over number 4 comes in. It's 40 without loss. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
C-R-O. What you doing? Practicing how to say hello in Italian so I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumigale range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
Fumagale.
Aren't you? Head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not Ciao, it's pronounced Chow.
Wait, it's Chow?
Well, we're back at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. If you're just joining us, we remind you that Nicholas Pooran, winning the toss for the first time in the series, he's decided to let the West Indies bat first. Just one change in the West Indies lineup with Darren Bravo coming in for his first game and definitely looking to bolster the batting for the West Indies this evening. Adam Zampa will be the change from the northern end, so the third bowler for the Australians being employed. The leg spinner is up, and this one is it ball. He's looking to dig that one out slow on it, and immediately Zampa strikes. He looked a bit casual coming down on that one. Julian Charles properly flighted, and Fletcher was slow on coming down on that one, playing all over it. There's maybe dipping in the end as well, being yorked, and his middle stump being sent back. West Indies losing their first wicket with the score on 40.
Beautifully bowled leg break by Zampa, quick, very quick through the air, and one would have to say that Zampa now has the number on Fletcher, having bowled him as well in the previous game, coming through a lot quicker to Andre Fletcher than Fletcher would have imagined, but just to show that Zampa's bowling has been improving as the series has gone on, and he's just found the kind of niche delivery that he needs, just pushing the ball through and hurrying the batsman.
Well, really beaten this evening. On Wednesday, he really played across the line and was bowled, but tonight is all the credit to Zampa. So we will continue letting you know that the West Indies squad in this game, Nicholas Pooran, Fabian Allen, Sheldon Cottrell, Andre Fletcher, Chris Gale, Evan Lewis, Andre Russell, Lendl Simmons, Ocean Thomas, Hayden Wards Jr., and Darren Bravo. And the Australians, they made 4 changes. We'll give you that in the meantime as Chris Gale comes in to take strike. He's taking guard now from the umpire Nigel Duguid. And for Gale, there's just one slip. There's a ring of feelers on the restrictive circle. A man at backward square on the offside. There's the orthodox point, an extra cover, the mid-off. And there's a long one on the boundary, a deep mid-wicket on the boundary, an orthodox mid-wicket, and a man just halfway to the boundary, maybe also on the edge of the circle at the short backward square position. Zampa into Gale, and Gale is driving, gets the gap between extra cover and the long off fielder all the way down to the boundary for 4. So he's off the mark immediately with a boundary as Chris Gale. Lovely shot. Reading that one from Zampa. It was also well tossed up, but Gale using his feet, getting to the pitch and playing a lovely shot.
Yes, Gale driving through the line, just as the textbook would show it, the coaching manual would show, driving beautifully through extra cover for 4.
Good use of the feet, getting into a good position and playing with the turn there was Chris Gale. He's on 4. The score up to 44 for 1, and this time he's coming forward, maybe a bit more tentatively there to that delivery from Zampa, the 4th. And the Australians today bringing in George Hazelwood, Andrew Tai for his first game, Josh Phillip and Mitchell Swipson also coming in for his first game, a leg break bowler to back up Zampa, who is in operation. He's got the first wicket already. This one is hit powerfully way over the deep mid-wicket position. So Chris Gale deciding he's really going to turn on the accelerator from the time he has moved off, and he is gone up to 10, and he's only faced 3 deliveries, showing his full intent this evening.
Yes, Gale going over deep mid-wicket with all the ease that we know and power that we accustomed of getting from Chris Gale. And Zampa would remember well the last game that Gale took a liking to him, hitting quite a few sixes, but Gale not looking to just play himself in, not satisfied with this, wanting to show his dominance over Zampa. So the skipper just trying to push in Zampa early in this spell, but Gale equal to it and getting after him straight away.
So he's now going to bowl his 5th delivery. Gale is in the mood. He's off the back foot and spiking that one down to the deep point region, another boundary. So he's coming. His eyes seem to be set as if he was knocking inside the pavilion before coming out. So Chris Gale now registering his second for 1-6 in his knockout 14, and he just faced 4 balls and has assisted Lewis in keeping his scoreboard moving. 54 for 1. The 50 coming in 30 deliveries, 21 minutes, 2 fours and 5 sixes. Zampa with just 1 delivery left in his first over. A bit expensive despite getting the wicket. 14 conceded so far. Gale goes again way over long on the bottom of the castry stand. It goes 6 to finish the over, and the West Indies finishing over number 5 with 60 runs on the board, just 1 wicket down. That wicket of Andre Fletcher, who was bowled by Zampa for 12. We'll have more from Julian Charles, and your next commentator will be Sunil Ramdea.
Gale showing his class straight away, whereas Zampa has been able to trouble the other batsmen in the last game and this one with pace on the ball, flat pace on the ball, but Gale requires, I one would think, a little more variation to be to put him in trouble. As soon as he sees this pace by Zampa, he's on to it like a flash and hitting the ball with all the gusto and class that he has, well over the mid-wicket boundary. First 6. Welcome back, Ramdin. Sunil.
Thank you very much, Julian. 5 overs of the power play gone. It's 60 for 1, and Chris Gale has come out, and he's come out certainly with intent, taking a liking to Adam Zampa almost immediately. Gale, he would have smashed him for 2 sixes and 2 fours, and he's raced on to 20 in just 5 deliveries. The West Indies, as I said, 60 for 1. And now we're seeing a change once more in the bowling. Baron Duff switching ends, bowling to Evan Lewis. And Lewis drives nicely, beats the fielder in that mid-on position. And it races into the boundary for 4. So the runs are flowing. Reds Pereira, 64 for 1.
Well, what a change. Zampa striking. And that didn't bring any kind of watchful approach by Gale. He took 20 off the leg spinner. Didn't help himself with a couple of over-toss deliveries and being short. But Gale has really started like a house on fire, and the West Indies has raced to 64 for 1.
Left-handed burned off a slow delivery, but a full delivery, and Evan Lewis's eyes lights up, smashes it over that mid-wicket boundary into the Johnson Charles stand. It's another maximum. The score races on to 70 for 1, and Lewis is on 36.
Yes, another full toss. Australia cannot be bowling this kind of indifferent length. And you trying to hit the right length. If you bowl full tosses to Lewis and Gale, they're going to cart you out of the Darren Sammy ground. I think we are realizing that if there's one mistake the local authorities made is not to get some ball attendants to chase after the ball.
Agreed. Berendorf, he's expensive. 2.2 overs, 35 runs. He's going at 15 runs and over. Already conceded 4 sixes and a 4. And they're having a little bit of a conference with him now. I think Hazelwood is in there probably giving him some advice.
First 2 overs cost 25 runs, so he didn't start all that well.
And Aaron Finch continues to keep him under the gun. He's bowling the final over of the power play. He's already conceded 2 massive boundaries, and he's about to concede another. It's pitched up. Evan Lewis gets onto that front foot, just plays through the line as easy as can be. It's another 6. It takes the score on to 76. Lewis, he races into his 40s on 42.
Well, I would think the bowler just don't know where to bowl to Gale, and now in particular where to bowl to Lewis. I think Berendorf will be very happy when this over comes to an end. And as the late John Arnold would say, to wander off into the distance.
Berendorf off a shortish run up, left arm over the wicket. This time pushes it a bit wider, but too wide. So wide, in fact, that the umpire, he's called an extra. It's 77 for 1. Extras move on to 3. Maybe trying to just get a little bit of respite from the attack from Lewis.
None for 42. Pressure on the left armour. Probably a bowler who would have done well in England in seamy conditions, hasn't got the naked pace, and his length has been terrible.
Berendorf once more pitches pitches it up to Lewis. This one, again, wide of the off stump, but it's fair enough that it's a legal delivery, a red dot ball.
A maiden ball.
A maiden ball, as you told me last time, Reds. The score 77 for 1. Nicholas Puran winning his first toss, opting to bat, and the West Indies certainly had a plan. They've brought in Darren Bravo as well for Akil Hussain. As Berndorf in now to bowl to Lewis. And again, he's pitched up this one on the off stump. Lewis opts to just let it go through to wicketkeeper Wade. Another maiden ball, as you would say, Reds. But, Lewis seeming to suggest that he might have been a little bit distracted because that white towel appeared to have fallen out of the where the bowler had it tucked into his T-shirt, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes. Well, if it had actually dropped out earlier, they could have signaled a dead ball, but he was almost in the delivery action when it was sort of picked up by Lewis behind him.
Got you. Last ball of the power play. Berndorf into Lewis. Lewis drives and beats the fielder in that mid-off position, even though he was relatively straight. Can't stop it. Races into the boundary. The score races on to 81 for 1. After the power play, the West Indies, that's the latest score.
It's a super sale. Now on at CaribbeanLEDlighting.com. Shop online and find the fixtures you're looking for at super low prices. Get flush mounts, wall mounts, vanity lights, pendants, and even chandeliers, all now on sale. Reap the savings on the perfect accessories to style or restyle your home inside or out. Log on to CaribbeanLEDlighting.com for the super sale. Now on.
Caribbean LED Lighting. Look on the brighter side.
Welcome back to the Darren Sammy Stadium. We're a nice little crowd. They're enjoying the benefits of being fully vaxxed. They're allowed to come in and see this carnage.
I think this is the biggest crowd we've had. Maybe it's Friday night. I have the Friday night syndrome. Let's go somewhere. Well, why not international cricket?
Absolutely, and it's Friday with the West Indies playing well. Mitchell Swepson, he's making his... I should say this his debut for the series, but his first game for the series, and he's up right arm, leg break over the wicket to Chris Gale, and he pitches up his first delivery. Gale just pushes that one down to Berendorf at long off. He'll take a single, moves on to 21, and the score to 82 for 1.
82 off 6.1. At this rate, the West Indies should pass the 190 odd they got early in the series.
Well, anything can happen. We thought Australia would have gone on and had a much better score than they eventually got in the last game. The West Indies scoring at 13.3 and over. Swepson into Lewis this time. Lewis just gets back, works it into the onside. The fielder chases off his own bowling. The batsman hustles through for a single. Lewis moves on to 47. The West Indies are 83 for 1.
From the state of Queensland, he is what? 32 wickets in the last 5 matches. A leg spinner bowling a little flatter than Zampa.
From this northern end, Swepson into Gale. Gale swings. It goes high, but will it have enough to clear the boundary? We see Berendorf getting under it, and he now takes a comfortable catch. And that's all that Chris Gale sang for this evening. He's gone for 21.
Much too brief. Had to be maybe a little more careful as the new bowler came in. You're not too sure which way he's going. What's in his armory? Does he have the googly? How big a turn he is? And didn't cue that at all. And I think the Australians are very happy to see the back of Gale because you can just look at the amount of balls he has faced. Very, very short stay. Gale, 21 off 6 balls.
Yeah, and that one, you're right, Reds. Looking at the replay, Swepson, of course, a leg break bowler. That one seemed to come out the back of the arm, carried on, and certainly caught Gale a bit unawares going for it. But not even the mighty Chris Gale could have cleared the boundary. So the West Indies losing their second wicket, 83 for 2. Andre Fletcher, he would have gone earlier, bowled by Adam Zampa for 12.
And the West Indies not sending Bravo, who probably would have liked to come, early so he can get a number of overs and bat deep. The in-form Simmons coming out. The West Indies very, very strong on paper, certainly. But of course, no Hetmeyer and no Pollard in the side. Bravo brought in, gets an opportunity. Let's see how we will take it.
Simmons, who's certainly been in form in the series as well. And certainly a West Indies team where they really have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to openers, maybe trying to convert a couple into middle order batsmen. Swepson in once more, this time to Lewis, as they would have crossed in that last delivery. Down the leg side, the umpire calls wide. It's one more to the extras. Extras on to 4. The score 84 for 2. Swepson from this northern end. Right arm over the wicket into the in-form Lewis, and Lewis just comes forward, pushes that into the offside. There'll be no run.
Yeah, a good over so far. He's bowled with good control, and I think his variation is good, bringing the left-handed Lewis on the front foot, searching for it slightly.
Swepson with the number 22 on his back. Runs in, gentle breeze across the ground, bowls to Lewis, who attempts to cut. He misses. Marty Wade collects, raises his head to the heavens. That would have been almighty close to the edge of the bat.
And throws it high in the air. The one thing missing is the appeal. Caught behind.
And the edge. So good first over by Swepson. He's almost through, 5 deliveries so far. He's picked up the wicket of Chris Gayle for just 3 runs. And now a change in the field. There's Zampa is being moved across the mid-wicket. Swepson into Lewis, and Lewis comes back, and he just tries to work that delivery behind where the fine leg field would have been, but doesn't really make contact, comes off his pad. Wade collects, so there'll be no run. The score remains on 84 for 2, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, from our angle, difficult to say where that was pitched, but there was a half thought of maybe looking for a review. Whether it was the one that pitched leg stump and came in, would have been the googly to the right-hander. We can't pick it up here because of course, the COVID conditions, the protocols. We have been switched to let's say, a long on position, a third man position. But we are very happy to be here. Had to be totally vaccinated to be here. Protocols were in fact checked and applied, that we all had our vaccinations, and we appreciate the kindness of the Ministry of Health, just checking each and every evening.
So it's Lendl Simmons in. He's about to face Andrew Tye, who's also making an appearance, his first appearance in this series. Right arm, fast, medium to Simmons on his leg. Simmons just chips it over the skipper Aaron Finch, who's at that short mid-wicket position, and they amble through for a single. Simmons is off the mark. The score is 85 for 2.
There's a little golf chip over the head of the short mid-wicket. And talking about that, the Australians are strong in golfing. Were they up in the Sanders court a couple of times?
Yeah, they did manage to squeeze a couple rounds in. Mitchell Stark, certainly an ardent golfer. Josh Hazelwood was out there, Matthew Wade. So really enjoying the facilities at the Sandals Golf and Country Club in Cap Estate.
And when will that be officially open?
It will be officially open next month. Greg Norman, the famous shark, he has designed the course, and he's actually coming. Another Australian actually coming to open it as Andrew Tye runs in. Right arm over the wicket to Lewis. This one is short. Lewis just watches it go past him, and eventually the umpire does signal wide. That's one more to the extras. Takes the score on to 86 for 2.
Running in nicely. I think he got some pace. It'll be good to see him bowl a couple of overs if he's not too expensive. Running in nicely. 6'3", turns in the distance.
Tye, a lot of experience, 34 years old. Into bowl to Lewis. Pitches it up, maybe a little bit too full for the shot that Lewis attempted to play, trying to guide it down to third man. Didn't make contact, goes through to wicketkeeper Wade. And the boundaries seem to have dried up just a little bit, Reds. 86 for 2 now after we really saw Gale and Lewis going after it.
Yes, as the calm after the storm.
Tie into Lewis, and this time Lewis just works it backward of point. The fielder from the third man boundary runs around, can't pull it back. It goes into the boundary now, and we were just talking about boundaries drying up. Well, maybe Evan Lewis heard us and said, well, here's a boundary for you guys. It brings up his 50. Lewis is on 51, takes the score to 90 for 2.
Yes, his form continues, and the good thing about it that he's very strong on the leg side, but he has displayed in this innings that he can hit the ball through the offside. That was an example. It was outside the off stump and just guided it the third man.
Tie into Lewis once more, and this one on a leg, on the line of the leg stump. Lewis attempted to pull it into the onside, but could just find the fielder in that square leg position. No run. The score remains on 90 for 2.
Not a bad over from the Australian point of view, only 6. So they really pull things back. They need to pull things back further, try and create a little bit of low scoring to build some pressure.
Tie in once more to Lewis, and Lewis just has a swat at the ball outside the off stump. Not what you'd call a traditional shot, but the power took it over the fielder in that long off position. It's a maximum, takes the score onto 96 for 2, and Lewis, he moves on to 57.
Yeah, pitch short and wide outside the off stump, but he still managed to get onto the back foot and hit it high over the long off fieldsman, who made a gallant effort, jumped in the air as if he was taking off for a high jump, and it cleared him. It cleared the advertising board very easily. So they're back in running form once more.
Tie once more into Lewis and drives over the long on boundary. This one crashes into the Johnson Charles stand. It's another 6, back-to-back 6s from Evan Lewis to bring up the West Indies 100. It's 102 for 2. Lewis, he races on to 63, and that's the latest score from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Old-time bakers in Bim bake from home. Remember the Dutch oven made of stone? Then came the bread cart. Oh, you could smell that bread a mile away. And then there was the bread van. Many have made a living selling from them. Now, your bread is as close to your home as you can get it, because there's sure to be a Crumbs bakery near you for a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries, and bread.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
So Nicholas Puran's decision to bat after winning the toss has paid off. The West Indies onto 100, the 100 coming up in 53 deliveries, just 39 minutes, 6 fours and 10 sixes, thanks to Lewis and Gale. And now we have Swepson returning, this time bowling to Lendl Simmons, who just pushes it into the offside. There'll be no run.
Simmons is going to enjoy this challenge. He grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. You've got to learn to play spin there. Because there are so many spinners at the national Division 1 level.
Swepson, right arm over the wicket, leg break bowler. Simmons just attempts to guide that down to the third man area. Can't beat the fielder, and it's no run. But the new kids, Swepson and Ty, probably not going through the trauma of the first 2 games, coming in and performing well so far.
Well, Ty was none for 6 off 3, and then eventually that changed very quickly.
Swepson into Simmons, who we know won't want to stay quiet for too long, just works that ball down to the long on fielder, ambles through for a single. Simmons moves on to 2, the score 103 for 2.
Yes, coming forward on driving and slightly against the spin, but he got to the pitch. You can see the bowler throwing his hands in the air, but he covered it very well. Didn't give it a chance to turn at all. Single, just making the field changing over. Left-right combination always puts a little extra pressure on the captain.
Swepson in Once more, this time to Lewis. This one's pitched up and Lewis goes for it and hits it well. That ball flies over the long off boundary, well back into the stand. It's another maximum. Evan Lewis is certainly in the mood tonight. He races on to 69 from just 27 balls, including 8 sixes and a 4. The West Indies total moves up to 109 for 2.
Well, I told you they should have had some ball attendance, because the Australians have been climbing over the fence, climbing over a gate, and on that occasion that went right through the gap between the press box and the stand to our left, and went all the way maybe into the car park.
Well, Reds, I'll tell you, Aaron Finch mentioned the wind. There's not much wind tonight. It's probably the most you've seen the flags droop. It occasionally picks up, but Swepson bowling, the wind would have taken the ball away from Lewis, not doing much. This one short, and Lewis pulls, and does it have enough to clear the boundary? Of course it does. Lewis clears that boundary at mid-wicket. He's just dealing in sixes this evening. He races on to 75. The West Indies total onto 115 for 2. What entertainment for the small crowd here in at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Bad length by the bowler, short, and you just don't bowl that to Lewis. He went back and in a massive manner hit that straight down to a wide long on position, cleared the boundary for yards.
Suddenly this great start is looking a bit wobbly now. Swepson into Lewis, and this one, good delivery, a bit quicker through the air, pitched up. Lewis just gets behind that delivery, pushes it back down the wicket. There'll be no run. It's that rare maiden ball, as Reds tells us. The score remains on 115 for 2, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, let me say that's just a slight bit of humour. It's something that the late John Allen pulled out of the bag all of a sudden one day. There were a lot of runs scoring by Rodney Marsh against England. The left-arm bowler Norman Gifford, who played for Worcestershire. And when he actually bowled a dot ball, John Allen described it as a maiden ball.
You know, I can actually see where that comes from in a game like what we're seeing this evening. So the West Indies certainly have repaid that decision by Puran. And now Aaron Finch starting to mix things up a bit. He's bringing Adam Zampa back this time from the southern end of the ground. It'll be Lendl Simmons on strike. He would have watched the carnage so far from Lewis. He's on 75 from just 29 balls. But it's Simmons on strike. Zampa, the right-handed bowler, into Simmons, who just works it back with a square. The fielder in that short fine leg position runs across, keeps them to a single. Simmons moves on to 3 to score 116 for 2.
And Simmons doing the right thing, just turning the strike over. Zampa coming from the far end, the players' pavilion end, but luckily it's not a strong wind, so he's not bowling into the wind. The wind is behaving itself tonight. Normally it's a gale force.
So I guess you can say the traditional West Indies opening pair in the wicket as Zampa runs into bowl to Lewis. This one pitched up outside the off stump. Lewis just gets onto the back foot, works it into the offside, and hustles through for a single. Comfortable single in the end, 117 for 2. Lewis is on 76.
Zampa a little lucky there, short, and he can really bang that through cover, through backward point.
Zampa into Simmons. This one's pitched up. Simmons just pushes it to that field, that backward point. For a moment, Lewis hustling down the wicket, wanted the single. Simmons sends him back. In the end, a good decision.
Well bowled. He got a little bit of turn. They hit the outer edge of the bat as he played forward. Good contest.
Zampa in now to Simmons. This one pitched up, wraps him on the pad, but going down leg side. For a moment, the bowler thought he was in, but then realized, no way that was going to be LBW. But it's a dot ball, so he'll take that.
Yeah, threw his hands in the air, but then didn't continue with a shout.
Once more Zampa into Simmons. This one a bit short of a length, but quick through the air, and Simmons just gets onto his back foot, works it to square leg, easily jogs through for a single. He moves on to 4 and the score 118 for 2.
Coming up to the halfway mark, one ball before the 10 overs finish. They already got 118 on the board. Your math's as good as mine. What's the projection?
If Lewis continues 220, but this is that point in his innings where you have to be a little cautious for Evan Lewis as Zampa comes in to bowl to Lewis. Lewis this time being very watchful, working it into the onside and just ambling through for a single. That brings us to the end of the 10th over. The West Indies are 119 for 2. Ryan O'Brien joins you next.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs Bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community, this time at Silver Sands in Christchurch, another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. Crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Well, back here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, 119 it is for the loss of 2. So we just had some quick refreshment for the Australian players out there, and it's really been good going by the West Indies. 11.90 this current partnership, 36. And Julian Charles, the last time you were here, was saying the West Indies probably will be looking for a rate of about 14 coming into the latter overs of this match. They're already 11.90, and we've only had 10 overs delivered.
Yes, they will be looking for well over 200, and any score around 190, 210 would be quite a big one to chase down. But even at that stage, West Indies, although they may be trying to ensure that they're going to get over 200, but if they continue as they've been going, they might get to 230, 240, who knows?
Yes, Julian, so we're going to have a change after the break, or rather after the halfway mark. It's going to be Mitchell Marsh bowling his first over in this match. He's delivering from the northern end, and this one is on the pan, and quick work there by Lewis, playing that down to the long on region. The field having to come off the boundary, Josh Phillip, and can't prevent the single to score up to 120 for the loss up to, and Evan Lewis really pouring along Julian Charles. 78 of 32 balls, and he's struck 4 fours and 9 sixes. What an inning so far from Evan Lewis.
Yes, he's really on fire. It's really, more people should have been here to witness that kind of demolition of the Australian bowling attack.
Well, first game didn't score, did not play in the second and third, got 4 in the last game on Wednesday, got 31 in the fourth game on Wednesday, and this one is short outside the off stump to Simmons, and he just spanks it down to the deep extra cover position. The fielder coming off the boundary, they get 1 rather easily. Simmons is up to 5. He's just watching virtually as a spectator as the show by Lewis all on his own continuing at the other end. And I was just telling you, just 31 runs in 2 innings, and is really going to push that up. 78 undefeated so far in this, the 5th and final game, after coming away from the previous series against the South Africans as the most dominant batsman for the West Indies. This one is played outside the off stump, looking to get that one to the fielder sweeping square on the boundary. Again, they will get a single. It's traveling too quickly for them to pick up a couple, so Simmons will come into strike, and Lewis moving up to 79. West Indies having the platform they would have needed, but unfortunately they lost Chris Gale, who went caught by Bredendorf of the bowling of Swepson for 21, and he had just faced 7 balls. He seemed to be in the mood this evening until he skied one too long up. This one is wide outside the off stump. They're still going to steer it down to the third man. There was Lendl Simmons, didn't make contact, and it goes through to Wade behind the stumps. So this current partnership 39, and these two really kept up the momentum. As I told you, Gale 21 of 7 balls, 2 fours and 2 sixes, just 2 dot balls for Chris Gale until he lofted one, and Berendorf running off the boundary, pulling off a smart catch as Marsh continues. This one is delivery well pitched up and hit down again to the deep extra cover. A fielder just coming off the boundary, and again they will get a single. Score moving up to 123 for 2. So at least they're continuing to keep their scoreboard ticking, despite the fact that they're not getting the boundaries so far in this innings, in this over with any great regularity. Marsh just 4 runs conceded so far, so he's really pegged things back a bit, been an outstanding player for Australia in this series, if not so with the ball, but with the bat. This one's a slow bouncer down the leg side and call wide now by umpire Duguid. Mars looking a bit despondent, but certainly that one was down the leg side. It was very slow, and Lewis is watching it as it goes over his shoulder.
Yes, probably more on height and direction as well. But this one, a tennis bounce from Marsh. Marsh has been having he's been having an outstanding series with the bat, and
he's looking to do some damage this evening with the ball for the Australians. He's just got one delivery left in his first over, just conceding 5 runs so far. A good start from him. This one is hit down too long off. It's in the air. Will the catch be taken? And Lewis goes, maybe just forcing it, feeling some pressure. And West Indies losing their second wicket. Lewis there going this when he seemed to have been all set to go on to get the 100 in his innings, but definitely very great knock from him. He's gone for 79, just short of a good length, and maybe a little extra pace on that one. Choke for room, and the mid-off fielder just behind the circle and taking the catch rather comfortably. So the Australians getting some success. Seeing the back of Lewis caught Sub Ellis of the bowling of March for 79.
the end of a very entertaining inning by Lewis. Certainly kept everyone on their toes, more so the Australian bowlers. But this one dug into his body, never had the room to free his arms, was able to pull the ball, but in the end it ended up just wide of extra cover, and the fieldsman moving around, taking a very easy catch. So the Australians very pleased to see the back of Lewis, because as long as he was there, they were staring over 200 in the face.
And Marsh seems to be a man not only with the golden bat, but also with the golden arm. He always seems to make something happen.
Yes, he's been the one in form. He's been the one with the confidence. So he came out there, he dug one in, he had the variation, he had trying to bowl it wide of the stumps, had a slower one, and that was the undoing of Lewis.
So it's going to be Nicholas Pooran, the West Indies captain, who has come in, and that wicket coming off the final delivery of Marsh's first over is going to be Adam Zampa, the orthodox bowler, the leg break googly bowler, who is going to continue from the southern end. And the man on strike is going to be Lendl Simmons, who is on 6. Will he pick up the tempo? Know that Lewis has left, but he's got another left-hander who is coming to fill the breach, and Nicholas Pooran. He's coming forward. The appeal going up by Zampa and some of the close-in fielders for the Australians, but no response in the affirmative from umpire Lazuri for Junior. So the score remains on 124 for 3. We're inside over number 12. The West Indies deciding they're going to bat first tonight. Nicholas Pooran winning the toss for the first time. This one's a short delivery and giving Simmons sufficient time to just get on the back foot and playing it up to mid-on, straight to the fielder. There's no run. So there's just 8.4 overs remaining. And after this start, the West Indies will be looking to get as close as possible to 200. We're sure Zampa is again short, looking to turn out one on the onside. Maybe just getting a slight bit of bat on that one onto the pad. And no, the signal coming out from the umpire, the leg by. So Zampa looking to keep the pressure on Julian Charles from the southern end.
Yes, he's hustling the batsman, bowling quick. The last two deliveries were quick googlies into Lewis. Lewis late on the shot. Zampa has caused problems to all the batsmen, apart of course from Chris Gayle.
So he's making some adjustments. He's moving the fielder that was in the mid-off position for the left-hander, Pooran, and he's bringing him to a short mid-wicket position. He's being very meticulous about his field. The last 15 balls, 10 runs and 1 wicket as Zampa in again over the wicket. This one is short outside the off stump, and Pooran is quickly on the back foot, gets off the mark. The first ball he faces down the backward square. The fielder is 3/4 way to the boundary. He comes in, picks up cleanly, rifles a return back to Wade. 1, that's all it'll be. 126 for 3. Pooran is off the mark. Simmons is on 6. And he's really taking his time to get going this evening. Simmons has already faced 14 deliveries. He will need to at least have some stability in the middle. And this one is just turned to the short fine leg position. The fielder coming in quickly prevents any possibility of a run there. And that's Mitchell Marsh fielding quickly and smartly. And Zampa looking to complete his third over. 1 for 26, his figures so far. At the wicket takers, Swepson and Marsh. As Zampa once more over the wicket. This one is cut backward as creative fielder doesn't take it clean. He just bobbles away from him. Maybe the Australian captain get a bit of an awkward bounce there, but it's clean up in the end. Just an extra run conceded. 127 for 3. We've had 12 overs completed. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
So the all-spin attack back into operation is Swepson back at the northern end. This one just eludes the keeper. Matthew Wade goes down for a wide, now being signaled by umpire Duguid. So the extras will continue to climb. It's up to 8, still within reason. 128 for 3. We've had 12 overs completed. We're inside the 13th. And Wade, some difficulty in collecting that one down the leg side, but it's going to be Puran who is going to face his second delivery, taking strike, and he'll be looking at Swepson for the first time, and Swepson getting an opportunity to have a game in this 5-match series. West Indies already securing the success in this series, 3-1 so far, but Australia looking to play for some pride, looking to pick up a second win. This one is getting to the pitch, going straight, going long, going hard, all the way, a very straight hit there by Nicholas Purran, all the way back over the bowler's head for 6.
Pretty good shot by Purran. Looked like he's been out there all night, although he just came in, lifting this one beautifully straight onto the side screen.
Well, when it's talk about making good use of the feet, he didn't really have that far to go, but it's actually the positioning, how he lined himself up and played minimizing any turn, and really with the full swing of the bat went for 6. This one is again way over long off. There's no chance of that catch being taken. It's falling just below our commentary position here. Julian Charles, Jason Bredendorf just watching it as it sailed over his head like a bird in the evening sky. I don't think there are going to be too many birds in the sky at this time, but that one really sailed over. He said 141 for 3, and consecutive 6s by Purran takes him to 13.
Yes, bowling to Purran's strength, that is pitched up in his act, and this time he went over long off, comfortably clearing the boundary, and clearly Finch would have to have a word with his bowler bowling just a little too full to the player of class, the class of Purran.
The good thing about it, he's been going straight. The previous one was very straight over the bowler, and the second one was slightly outside the line of the offside. He got to it and still hit straight, and it really beat long off. So good batting by Purran. He's up to 13, 141 for 3. He's gone way past Simmons in no time at all. Swepson, 2.2 overs, 1 for 30. Being battered a bit in this over by Purran. This one is down the leg side and very low indeed. So Purran just looking to get inside of his wicket, looking to work that down, maybe down to a fine leg region, but it really stayed down Julian Charles, and a good take by Matthew Wade in the end. So it's going to be Swepson who's going to continue the leg break bowler in his shot on this occasion. Pulled enough over the deep mid wicket to pick up yet another 6, so his third in this over so far. So Swepson proving pretty expensive, and he's gone for his third 6 in this over, and it also includes a couple of wides. So he's really conceding some runs. West Indies pushing on to 148 for 3 after 12.3.
Yes, again, the Australian bowlers, there's no respite, no place to hide. The West Indians going after the bowling.
1 for 37 from Swepson. He's got 3 deliveries left in the over, and again he's short and pulling, and again Purran finds a gap on this occasion between the backward square and the mid wicket, and on this occasion picking up a boundary.
Yes, Purran, like whisk before him, almost like a six-hitting machine. Anything short, they're looking to clear the boundaries. They're not looking to turn the risk over the ball and look for fours. Always they have the confidence and the power to hit the ball clean over the boundary. But this time, it was in the gap and one bounce for four.
Well, the length was bad, the line was bad, and Puran was very good in picking both of them up quickly and dispatched it, and he found the gap with tremendous ease. He's now up to 23, and let's see what Swepton does. 2 more deliveries left in this over, very expensive one. This time he's looking to go way over a long off, maybe ahead in the air a bit, and good take by Wade, standing up to the stump. Projected score at this time at 11.84 runs in over would be about 237, Julian Charles. So that's way above what we would have anticipated. And 18-22, about 24 runs already conceded in this over. So it's really going to be quite expensive. I would like to see the Manhattan on this over compared to the rest of the Australian innings. We do not have that privilege here where we are, but it's really going to stand out as a great tower. This one is short and played back up the track. Puran having sufficient time to get inside of his wicket, and I'm sure Swepton will be happy that it has come to an end. 25 runs, yes, my addition seemed to be quite good. 25 runs at the end of the third over from Swepton. The West Indies overall 152 for 3, with Puran on 23, Lendl Simmons on 7, and Puran's 23 has come off just 7 balls, and he struck 1 4 and 3 sixes.
Yes, a huge over for the West Indies, and Puran taking all the pressure off Lewis, who has been a bit scratchy for once in this series, and Puran setting the record straight in this last over.
Well, I think it's a good foil. Probably Simmons is looking to play on now, that letting his captain go ahead in the ascendancy, in the aggression, like he allowed Lewis, and maybe Chris Gale was out there, looked on pretty early when he was there with Lewis, so you could have seen the sort of partnerships, and they're really trying to ensure that they allow the batsman who is going fluently to get as much of the strike as possible. We see this time from the southern end, we're going to have the medium pace of Hazelwood coming back, and Australia looking to restrict the West Indies. The rate is still hovering around 11.54, knowing that at any moment they can also increase on that, particularly with the likes of Andre Russell still to come for the West Indies. Darren Bravo also around. So they're going to be hoping that they can really get the runs they need. This one is just played up on the onside. They'll get a single as the man has to come from the long on boundary, and they've basically ambered through for that one. As we had Andre Ty, we haven't really seen too much of him on the ball as far as in the field is concerned. He comes in, couldn't prevent the single, and the score moves to 153 for the loss of 3, the West Indies. So again, a good platform set by them. We're going to have a free hit. Julian tells me that call coming a bit late, just going over that front crease, so we're going to have a free hit as well.
Yes, and Puran will be pretty pleased for this. The Australian keeper Finch, I'm sure, will not be too happy.
He wouldn't be, because the West Indies 154 already on the board. His delivery is well pitched up, and he tugs it down to the area wide of mid-wicket. The fielder just coming across to his right. He's travelling too quickly, as that would have been expected, with Puran looking to take full advantage of the free hit, but not really getting under it to get the elevation. And just the single, 155 for the loss of 3. Simmons up to 8. Puran on 24. Simmons actually coming into strike, and it's Puran who's up to 24. So Simmons has been out there for quite some time, 18 deliveries. I'm sure he'll be looking to try to at least balance balls and runs. Hazelwood in once more. This one is looking to hit square, maybe a bit of an on the edge, getting the gap perfectly between the short third man and the backward point, and no chance there. Splitting Zampa and Behrendorff all the way down to the boundary for 4.
Simmons cutting out the back foot, the ball not going exactly where he wanted to, but at least it got between the two fielders and went away for 4.
It was making some room for the shot. Maybe got too far away from it and just squeezing off the under portion of the bat. And he did find the gap down to the vacant third man boundary. This one is just played into the onside. They're thinking of us second run quickly. They feel has to run in from the deep mid-wicket boundary. So good running there from these two. They set off immediately Julian Charles. The fielder is positioned. The only fielder anyway close to the bat on that side was down at the deep mid-wicket boundary. There's also the mid-on is a short fine leg. But they had sufficient time to run too, had the fielder under some pressure, and in the end came back rather comfortably for the second run. 161 now for the loss of 3. Simmons goes up to 14 and he retains the strike. So Rifa momentarily holds Hazelwood up. Here he is now over the wicket, and this one is short. He is pulling in the air but gets away with it. There's no one at square leg. The man coming off the deep backward square boundary comes in. He picks up, gets a return back into the keeper. So Simmons looking to get a move on. He's now up to 15 of 21 deliveries, and it's Puran who is 24 from 8 with 1 4 and 3 sixes. Comes into strike. He's got one more delivery from Hazelwood to face to complete the 14th over. Just if you've joined us, the West Indies winning the toss this evening, deciding to bat, and so far they seem like they're really serious about getting a big score on the board, as after 13.5 overs it's 162 for 3, and this one is down the leg side. The over coming to the end. Thought that one might have been called wide. Maybe from our position, Julian Charles didn't really line it up properly. Hazelwood, his third over comes to an end. It's 162 for 3. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
Bro, did you know that if you switch to LED lighting throughout your home, that you could save as much as 80% on your lighting costs?
Yes, man.
And did you know, wait, you knew that?
Of course, I also know that with using LED lights, I get brighter lighting that lasts longer and is better for the environment too. And by choosing my LED lights from Caribbean LED, I get up to 3 years warranty.
Wow, you know very much.
I hear all the ads on radio for Caribbean LED. Call them and ask at 621-0092 or visit them in Laura Estate or Wildy if you don't believe me.
Julian Charles, I don't know if you were able to make a count, but 2 of the West Indies reserve players coming out onto the field. I can see at least 3 bats, maybe 4, to give a choice to Lendl Simmons. He's made a choice. We're going to have Marsh, who is going to continue from the northern end for Australia, and 162 for 3 on the board. The West Indies, as we told you, deciding to bat first after winning the toss. We'll give an idea how the innings has gone so far, as Marsh in his first delivery with the 15th over. This one is short and pull. Could there be no? It goes all the way over the position between mid-wicket and long on for 6. So Simmons deciding he's going to really step it up as well. He's moved to 61 with that 6 and 2 short there. Matt starting that's new over.
Yes, this one I was asking for it, and Simmons got into position and hit it, but didn't hit it as well as he's done in the last few games.
Well, he's really closed the gap between balls and runs, as I anticipated. Julian Charles is now 21 from 22 balls, and his delivery is again pitched up to him. They head in the air a bit, looking to drive through the outside, making no contact. Well, first to go today was Fletcher, Andre Fletcher, bowled by Zampa for 12. The score was then 1 for 40, a decent start for the West Indies. And Chris Gayle, a quick fire knock from him today. He got 21, and the second wicket going on the score on 83. Gayle hitting 2 4s and 2 6s before he offered a catch to Berdendorf off the bowling of Swepson, as Marsh continues again. And to this delivery, Simmons looking to pull that one from outside the off stump, doesn't make contact, and it goes through to wait behind the stumps. And the third wicket to go down, that of the very, very aggressive Evan Lewis, who was caught by the substitute fielder Ellis of the bowling of Marsh for 79, and that comprised 4 6s, 4 4s, and 9 6s of just 34 balls. So Marsh, quite economical into his second over. 1 for 11 is again coming wrong the wicket. Passes umpire. Now this one is a delivery which is looking to hit over the offside. Will it be the catch? 2 fielders getting under it. The catch is taken. So the West Indies losing their 4th wicket. Simmons looking to continue in his aggressive vein. Just gets in the outer portion of the bat, and that one spoon to a backward square position on the offside. A bowler with the angle pushing that one a bit wide. He did probably committed himself wrongly, looking to hit that one to leg. Maybe if he had gone straight at Julian Charles, he might have been able to maybe find that one over long off. But in the end, just offered a simple catch to tie off the bowling of Marsh. Marsh getting his second wicket. So Simmons going for 21.
Yeah, Simmons looking for the short boundary on the leg side where the ball pitched up, short of a length actually, just outside the off stump. He was unable to turn the wrist over and give an easy catch to the fielder running in from cover. So Simmons' stay come to an end. It was not his fluent self that we've seen in the series, but he did a very good job in having a good partnership with Nicholas Puran.
Yes, and in the end, he looked to really pick up the tempo. But in that effort, he had to go. There's kind of one. Maybe just again, as you said, Julian Chapman should have played more into the orthodox shot, going over the offside, maybe an inside-out shot, and his 21 off 25 balls. So we're going to have just 2 more deliveries from Marsh, and his figures really looking good now. 2 for 11. So
Yeah.
Andre Russell, no hundreds, 150, 59 matches, 708 runs with a strike rate of 158. That's the impressive part. The average could become up a bit, average of 22, but we've seen how destructive he's been so far in this series. So we're going to have the final delivery from Marsh in this over. The batsman had crossed by the time that catch was completed. So it's going to be Puran, who's on 24, taking strike. He's over the wicket to the left-hander. This one is worked up the path. They have gone for one, thought probably of making it into second, but it's going too quickly to the fielder. So the over comes to an end, and a successful one for March. He's now got 2 for 11, and after 15 is 168 for 4. We'll have more from Julian Charles. And next is going to be Sunil Ramdin, and he's going to be joined by Joseph Reds Pereira.
The Australians trying to put a leader on what's happening out there, trying to ensure that the West Indies doesn't get a score that's beyond what they're capable of. But with the hard-hitting Russell joining the fluent Puran, prospects look really good for a huge total here this evening.
Yeah, Julian was a bit anxious. Got still one more delivery left from Marsh, so the West Indies probably could look at that as an advantage. You're going to have Russell, who is going to face that delivery, as Marsh is in once more to complete his second over, and Russell is coming across and dour defense. So the over coming to an end eventually, 169 for 4. We've had 15 done, 5 remaining. It's going to be Sunil Ramdin to be joined by Joseph Reds Pereira.
Yeah, West Indies will need every run out there, though it's a huge score or in the making. But as we've said earlier, it's looked like a very good batting pitch. And one would notice that the West Indies is not at full strength per se in terms of the bowling. They're without McCoy and Bravo, 2 of the better, more economical bowlers. So definitely the West Indies will need to maximize the amount of runs that they need to get to ensure that they come off with a 4-1 series win.
Well, the West Indies, thank you so much, Julian. The West Indies, they'll need to certainly try to keep a few wickets intact. Scorer Ashley Edwards was cross with Simmons for that shot. She thought he should have played a much more orthodox shot. But now we have Andrew Ty, and he's into Nicholas Puran. Puran pulls at this one, but it goes high in the air, doesn't get any distance. In fact, the bowler runs around and he drops it. Andrew Ty, making good ground to get to that delivery, seemed to settle under it, and just at the last minute had to lunge for it a bit, and popped out of his hand. Not what the Aussies would have wanted.
Well, he might have allowed others who probably were in a position to get a little closer to the man at the cover position. And, well, he has no one to blame than himself. I mean, you can always be grumpy when somebody drops the catch off of you. He putting down a catch that maybe somebody else should have taken, a missed opportunity.
And it's an opportunity that would have given him his first wicket. But Andrew Ty, who's come in this game, putting it down. Now he has to contend with Andre Russell. Running in, right arm over to Russell. This one pitched up outside the off-stump. Russell just works it down to that shortish third man area, which is protected. They run through for a single. He's off the mark. The score moves on to 171 for 4.
Russell playing an on-leg Russell shot, almost a gentle shot, steering the ball off the face of the bat to third man. Is Russell changing this evening?
Well, with 5 more overs to go, essentially, the West Indies will probably be hoping for another 50 runs to take them in that 220 region. It does depend on whether Puran and Russell can stay.
Well, as I saw, the projections of 220, keeping in line with what you were saying.
Tie into Puran, and Puran cuts, but all he can do is find that fielder in that backward point position. There'll be no run. Puran remains on 26 to score 171 for 4.
Well, is Darren Bravo still in the side?
Now that's a good question, Reds. You were inquiring a short while ago whether they were playing him as a bowler in this game. I'm not too
Yet
sure.
to bat. I can confirm Darren Bravo, Fabian Allen, if he's not sent in front of him.
Well, considering the over we're into, that may be a possibility. Tie in once more to Puran. Puran pulls a sort of a straight pull shot, as we see these days. Smacked it back at the bowler, who couldn't stop the ball. Did get a little bit on it, and it allowed the batsman in the end to take a quick single. Puran moves on to 27. It's 172 for 4.
Puran has really gone well since he's come in. 27 off 13. I did a report earlier this afternoon. I was saying that he really needed a good long stay. And I think he's done his touch, his form, a great deal of good.
Tie in this time to Russell. That one is short. Seemed to be well over Russell's head. He just leaves it alone, and the umpire now gives the signal. It's a wide. The extras have gone on to 12. The score 173 for 4.
Well, one way of containing Russell is the ball short over his head, but you're not allowed too many of those.
Correct, and if you bowl too short, then you give away a run, I suppose, and you have to bowl an extra delivery to him. Tie once more into Andre Russell from the southern end. This one short again. Russell swats it on the onside. There's a fielder running around in that backward point area. He takes the catch now, just about 3 or 4 yards inside the boundary. That's the end of Andre Russell's night with the bat. He's not added too much, troubled the scorecard too much. Just 1 run. The West Indies, they've lost their 5th wicket, 173.
Well, just starting to slow a bit. Puran is still there, and 173 for 4, still in a very strong position. The run rate over 11, and I must say that we watched by maybe the biggest crowd of the 5-match series.
Well, it does look like it is. Well, is that? So we're just waiting to see whether it's Darren Bravo. Yes, it does appear to be Darren Bravo. And maybe, you know what, Reds? Maybe it's good that Darren Bravo is coming in at this point. The West Indies have lost a couple of really quick wickets. Nicholas Puran there. And it's actually Fabian Allen, as you suggested, Reds.
Yes, I just felt, but I don't quite understand this. You know, many years ago I did a game in Sydney, and they didn't open with Darren Ganga. He didn't come at 3, he didn't come at 4, he didn't come at 5. The opening batsman came at 7. I mean, if you don't have the backing to play him, don't play him.
Well, that's certainly going to be the question everybody will be asking. You might make an argument they want to preserve the left-right combination, but Darren Bravo is a top-order batsman. But it's Fabian Allen who's on strike to Andrew Tye. He's gotten his first wicket finally. And this one just short outside the off stump. Allen gets behind it, works it down to the fielder in that sort of fourth slip position. Some of these fields not as orthodox as you'd expect. Brings us to the end of the over. And at the end of the over, the 16th over, the West Indies 173 for 5.
You were talking about ours.
So I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumagalli range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
Si, Fumagalli.
Alright you, head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not Ciao, it's pronounced Chow.
Wait, it's Chow?
So the West Indies trying to finish strongly. They would have started well, losing a couple of wickets. Adam Zampa is back. He's back from the northern end, bowling this time to Nicholas Puran, who's been there for a while. Puran drives and drives well, but there's a very straightish, long off fielder in Behrendorff, and he stops the ball just on the boundary. The batsman can only take a single. Puran moves on to 28, 174 for 5.
Well, that went like a bullet past Zampa's right, and the long offer really had to run across to his left to try and stop it.
So let's see how Fabian Allen continues. Zampa into Allen, pitched up, and Allen hoiks that one from outside the off stump, and it now trickles down to the fielder who's coming off the mid-wicket boundary. They run through for a single. Fabian Allen's off the mark, and the West Indies are 175 for 5. Zampa continuing this time to Puran, who's been there for a while. He's on 28 from 14. This one is short, and Puran pulls back with a square. There is cover on the boundary. The fielder sends that one into the non-striker's end, but Puran's already home. He takes his score to 29, and the Windies 176 for 5.
Zampa is lucky. That was almost a long hop.
Zampa in out of Fabian Allen. Another long hop. Allen opts for the drive rather than the pull, and that one falls just in front of the bowler, who's able to field it. There'll be no run, 176 for 5.
It squeezed him somewhat and just falling short of Zampa, who for a minute thought that he will have a cotton ball.
Zampa in his final over. And this one is, again, a short delivery. Instead of pulling it, Allen drives once more and drives it straight back to a very elated Adam Zampa, who gleefully takes the catch. Fabian Allen, just one run. The West Indies have lost their 6th wicket, and after taking off like a rocket, they're really stumbling at the end, 176 for 6.
Well, that was on the cards. The previous ball, the same kind of shot, and it went just short of Zampa. This time Zampa took it chest high and virtually was saying, "Dear Lord, thank you very much for that cotton ball," because he has really been rubbing salt in our wounds. And Zampa's figures now 3.5 there, Sunil, 3.52 for 29. But just a word about our scorer. Goes about her scoring in a very orderly manner, hardly says too much. Miss Edwards is also in her own right someone who's playing the game, as she was showing you the shot that somebody should have played.
And Ashley right now giving me the fall of wickets, the West Indies. They would have started well, 40 for the first wicket, 83 for the second wicket, 124 for the third wicket, but then things started to fall apart. Wickets fell out 168, 173, and 173. 3 wickets in the space of just about 5 runs. Right?
And the thing about Ashley, you hardly hear her. She goes about, there's some scorers that they never stop talking.
Zampa with his final ball into Darren Bravo, who's finally made an appearance. Immediately off the mark, works it down to that mid-on position, ambles through for a single. The score moves on to 177 for 6. Darren Bravo is on 1. That's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, coming in at 176 for 6, not a spot you expect to find a classy left-hander, but an opportunity for him to suit up in West Indies colours. You don't know what the future may bring, and I think he probably approached it as a professional. I'm here to represent the West Indies. I've got to read the game now. I need to stay and see the West Indies over 200 plus.
Well, it's asking a lot of Darren Bravo, who's on strike now, having taken a single in that last over. So it's tie continuing to Bravo. This one pitched up. Bravo drives nicely, but does he get enough on it? The fielder running around from that long on boundary, dives, gets to the ball, but drops it. So Darren Bravo gets a life as well. He, in the interim, hustled through for a single, takes his score on to 2. The score 178 for 6, and the West Indies batsmen enjoying some luck tonight. Reds.
Yes, he had to come a long way to his right at a wide long on.
Felipe, actually.
And substitute because he's not playing in the game. And it probably just went through the hands low down.
So this one is wide and outside the off stump from Thai. It's called wide by the umpire. Extras are a healthy 13. The score goes up to 179 for 6.
So the West Indies, how many they will get on the board? 179 for 6, as you just said. And just starting to slow a little bit, Sadell.
And that's what wickets do. As Thai in once more to Puran. He's not known to be a guy who likes to take it slow. This one pitched up outside the off stump, keeps a little bit low. Puran tries to drive that. It would have gone in that long on area, but not connecting. The ball goes through to Wade, who takes it on the bounce. The score remains on 179 for 6.
One of the talking points this afternoon was the draw for the World T20. The West Indies in a fairly strong zone. And of course, the 2 from each zone will qualify for the semi-finals.
Thai, it's a full delivery into Puran. Puran tries to work it onto the leg side, gets a top edge, it lobs into the air. Fortunately, it lobs over the head of the bowler. Neither the bowler nor the fielder at long off could have gotten to it in time. And Puran gets a lucky single.
Well, that fell in a triangle with the 2 men wide at long off and long on coming, and the bowler running back. It fell in the middle of the triangle.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was actually so high they managed to scamper through for 2 runs. So Puran's on to 31, the West Indies 181 for 6. Thai in once more to Puran. This one pitched up outside the off stump, has to be a wide. Matthew Wade is diving all the way to his left to collect that delivery. It is a wide. Extras on to 14, the score 182 for 6.
And just to come back to that World Cup announcement this afternoon, the delegations need to be named by the 15th of September, which will come, after the CPL. So if the West Indies want to maybe check out fitness, check out whatever they need to check out, that's helpful. But whether they can have 15 or 18, that's to be decided.
Thai in once more to Puran. This one is short. Puran pulls but does not connect well. The fielder runs in from that mid-wicket boundary. It's a comfortable catch in the end. The West Indies skipper goes. He's gone for 31 off 17 deliveries. And the West Indies really stumbling, as we saw Australia did on Wednesday evening. They've now lost their 7th wicket at the score at 182.
It was short, and he tried to swing it over square leg for 6. Didn't quite maybe middle it, and I think it was Carey who's had a fairly tough tour of St. Lucia coming in to take the catch. So the wickets are falling. The West Indies slowed 7 for 182, 17.4 on the board. And will the West Indies get beyond 200?
So it's Hayden Walsh Jr. out to join Darren Bravo, who's on strike. The current run rate 10.3 as Thai runs into Bravo, who enjoys his ground. He scored a lot of runs here. That one on the off stump, Bravo just watches it go by. That's a dot delivery. The score remains on 182 for 7. And the West Indies Reds, again, their coach has talked about playing the situation. And I think with Puran and some of the earlier batsmen going the way they have been going, some of the new batsmen didn't really need to play some of the shots they've played.
No, it was maybe going too hard.
More to Bravo, who just pushes it out into the offside, ambles through for a single, and he moves on to 3 to score 183 for 7.
Well, his figures have certainly improved. I think he's now 2 for 27 or 2.5. Now exactly 2 for 28 of 3. Not bad figures when initially Sanelli he started in a very expensive manner, but maybe a lot happier now. Hazelwood, 212 test wickets we're talking, but of course a different format, the red ball game, but he's got the ability to play all three formats.
Hazelwood into Darren Bravo. That one short. Bravo pulls this ball down to the long on position. The fielder just runs across from that mid-wicket boundary, and it's just a single. They hustle through. However, good work from the fielder in the deep. Bravo's onto 4. It's 184 for 7.
I think the West Indies are on course of getting their highest score, which is just under 200, maybe.
Well, let's see. It's a funny old game. They scored 196 a couple of nights ago, earlier this week. Hazelwood into Hayden Walsh Jr. He's beaten outside the off stump. Goes through to Matthew Wade. We haven't said that too often this evening, Reds.
No. Wade has had a quiet evening. Not too many have come by here. But talking about a quiet evening, he needs to have a big evening with the bat.
Yeah, and that ball replayed just passed over the off stump, just about 6 inches or so. Darren Bravo walking down to Hayden Walsh Jr., probably just saying to him, just rotate to strike, mate. Leave Hazelwood to me. Hazelwood, this is his final over of his spell, none for 26 so far. Right arm over from the northern end into Hayden Walsh Jr., who listened to Darren Bravo. He just got onto his front foot, worked it into the mid-wicket area, where the fielder's on the boundary and they get a single. It's 185 for 7.
Two left-handers, no pressure on Finch to adjusting the field each and every run. But that was a nice-looking flick away to the onside by Walsh, who has shown in the past he's got batting potential, not quite matching his bowling ability.
Hazelwood into Bravo. Nice looking drive, but it can't beat the fielder who runs around from mid-on. Keeps the batsman to a single. So this innings really, the break's really on at the moment, Reds.
Yes, Bravo went in touch very easy on the eyes, strokes the ball very nicely. A guy, no doubt, hasn't lived up to the early promise, maybe is underachieved, is 3 years out of the game for matters we don't need to talk about. It's probably just set him back a bit.
Hazelwood into Hayden Walsh Jr., who tries an ambitious shot to try and just scoop it over Wade, but it was well past him. Some good little pace on that delivery before he could even go through with a shot, and Wade had already collected it. So no run. The West Indies were just about 7 balls now to try to get to that 200. They're 186 for 7.
I think he needs to chat with Simmons of how to play that shot, because Simmons has got that down pat, as they say.
That's right. The run rate now under 10 for the first time this evening, 9.88. Hazelwood with the final delivery of his spell into Hayden Walsh Jr. And that ball raced his spot Matthew Wade. We're not sure if it took an edge. Again, the position we're in, we can't pick that up too cleanly, but it's another boundary, a welcome boundary for the West Indies. They move on to 190 for 7, and in fact, given us runs, so Hayden Walsh Jr. would have enjoyed that. That's the latest score at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs Bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community, this time at Silver Sands in Christchurch, another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. Crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
So it's Andrew Tye to close off the innings, bowling to Darren Bravo. Will Red's prediction of them getting the highest score come true? We'll wait to see that one wide of the off stump, and it's called wide by the umpire. Another one to the extras, 15. It's 191, so one closer, Reds.
Yes, well, they just got one more, thanks to the wide.
Tye with 6 more balls now into Bravo, and Bravo drives this one up in the air. The fielder Aaron Finch just jogging back, keeping his eyes on the ball in that short third man position, and takes a comfortable catch. Darren Bravo perishes, he goes for 5. The West Indies have lost their 8th wicket, 191 for 8, and Reds, do you want to reconsider? The highest has been 196.
Well, we can get 4 byes, a couple of wides, keep our fingers crossed. But, you know, when someone like Bravo comes so late, he can, in the circumstances, it demands you throw the bat around. He was a one-armed swordsman there, and it peeled off and went down towards third man. So 191 for 8. The big question is, can they get past the 196? And I think if I had $1 in it, I might be paying you.
Agreed, Reds. And you know, we were talking about the position Bravo came in. You wonder, maybe he could have come in after Simmons was out. Puran was going well, and he is the kind of batsman that could have held the innings together, maybe ensure that wickets did not fall, rather than having only power hitters come before him. He now had to become a sort of power hitter in the end, and could only achieve 5 runs. But it's tie into Hayden Walsh Jr. And Hayden Walsh Jr. had a swipe at that one, looked as if he was teeing off, but made no contact through to the keeper. It's another dot ball, and the Aussies seem to have one on the West Indians when it comes to the final overs of these games.
Yes, we have tailed off here. We have tailed off, and Australia at one time was maybe looking at about 220.
Correct. Tie into Hayden Walsh Jr. And it's almost a replay. Tries to tease off once more to a ball that wasn't quite there for the hitting, just short of a length. Makes no contact, goes through to Wade. Another dot ball. Sheldon Cottrell, who's on the other end, steps down the wicket, maybe to have a word with Hayden Walsh Jr. He might have seen something. 191 for 8, it stays.
Well, you should probably tell Hayden Walsh to change his guard from leg stump to off stump. He might get closer to those wide deliveries.
I'll tell you what, it does look like he's batting on an off-stump guard now. As Ty runs into Hayden Walsh Jr. Pulls at this one and gets an edge, but it trickles through to Finch, who's in that third man position. So it's just 1 run added to the total, 192 for 8.
Well, will Cottrell win my $1? Ideally, he can
so just 2 balls left.
End the discussion by hitting this for 6.
2 balls left, 192 the target, 196. Can they beat their top score? And Cottrell plays an interesting shot. He steps back as if meaning to drive it into the offside, and then reaches out and scoops it from the outside the off stump, and it makes its way down to the fielder at the square leg boundary, and they run through for a single. It's 193 for 8.
Well, he played that with some style.
He did.
I thought for a moment that he would have gone back for more. But
Reds, with all your experience, how would you describe that shot?
I would say a touch of the Courtney Walsh with flashing style through square leg.
So final delivery of the innings, Andrew Ty into Hayden Walsh Jr. Drives and drives well. Will this clear the fielder? Yes, it does. Finally, he's able to get that one down the fairway. It's a maximum. Reds, you've saved your $1, 199 for 8. They've gone not quite to 200, but this is now the highest score of the series.
Well, all you have to say is well done, 9.95. So Australia will be being pushed to score just on the 10, and they will need some consistency in the middle order batting. Wade owes Australia, really owes Australia big time, and it's not very often you see him will fail. He's got to come good, and maybe it's this evening. Whether the man with the golden arm, the man with the golden bat, Marsh, is going to produce another century partnership with his captain Finch. But even if that happens, the Australian middle order has got to come to the party, and they have not come yet. But maybe we can look at the batting, and then maybe look at the Australian bowling.
Yeah, certainly, Reds. The West Indies skipper Nicholas Puran winning the toss for the first time in the series, opting to bat, seemed a very good decision early on. The openers were Evan Lewis and Andre Fletcher, and both of them got off to a bit of a flyer before Fletcher went once more bowled by Zampa.
Yes, they seem to have played over it, played around it, bowl off stump.
Chris Gayle came in, smashed 4 boundaries in the very first 5 balls that he faced, including 2 sixes, and that seemed to give some encouragement to Evan Lewis, but Gayle unfortunately didn't last much longer. Trying to go for another maximum, was caught on the boundary of the newcomer to the Aussie squad for this series, the leg spinner Swepson.
Yes, Swepson started very well. He was getting a little bit of turn, and Gayle didn't quite maybe cater for his ability to get some turn, and miscued it, caught.
So 21 runs from Gayle at a strike rate of 300. They would have wanted him to carry on. Evan Lewis did carry on. He managed to get to 79, hitting 9 sixes and a 4 with a strike rate of 232. But again, Lewis seemed to have gotten stuck in his 70s. It's something we've gotten all too familiar with, and was caught after bowling of Marsh.
Well, he needs to save his form for some time later in the year. Sometimes, you don't want to peak too early, but tonight, you can say he was stick with form.
Nicholas Buran came in. Skipper Nicholas Buran started hitting the ball well from get-go. He scored 31 while he was in the wicket. Lendl Simmons, who came in at number 4, he usually opened, seemed a bit bogged down, tried to get on with it, and eventually, you'd say, sort of gave away his wicket with a really poor shot selection, and he went for 21 off just 25 balls.
Yes, he just seemed to be in the earliest, just turning the strike over and giving it back to Lewis, but it was not the Simmons we've seen in the other matches. He was, I will say, on the slow side.
At this point, we kind of expected Darren Bravo to have come in. He's been brought into the squad, a late-minute addition to the 14 and selected. That was not to be the case. Andre Russell came in. He didn't last too long, trying to play his shots as well. He went for just 1. Another big hitter, Fabian Allen, came in shortly after. He went for 1 as well. And at that point, we eventually saw Bravo being introduced.
And Bravo, well, had no other job to play, was to try and push the scoring on. He wasn't there to take dot balls or play himself in, and got an out edge, and it went high down to third man. Virtually had one hand on the bat.
And by that point, the West Indies run rate had really slowed down. It was over 10 for much of the night, falling to below 10. Hayden Walsh Jr. just couldn't get Andrew Tye away in the final over, except for that final ball, as it sort of reminds us what happened with Andre Russell and Stark in the previous match, eventually taking the West Indies to 199 for 8. The highest score so far, but not what they would have been expecting with the start they got.
Yes, and Berendorf, 3 overs, no wins, not for 46, took some stick.
Very expensive. Josh Hazelwood, who was brought back into the team as well, had a steady 4 overs, conceding just 32 runs.
And Zampa, not bad figures when you look at how he cost Australia in the early matches. 4 overs, no bids, and he came up with 2 for 30.
Mitchell Swepson, the leg break bowler who came in, started off well, but then went for a few maximums off. Evan Lewis took a liking to him, but managed to pull it back in the end. Picked up a wicket for 41 runs.
Yes, the wicket of Gayle was a very good one at that time, because had he batted another 3 overs, 2 overs, he probably would have been 50 by that time.
Andrew Tye, who was also brought into the game. Lucky lad, Andrew Tye. He had an opportunity to get his first wicket off a caught and bowl, chasing down a miss-hit shot from Puran, but dropped it. And in spite of that, Red still ended with 3 wickets for 37 runs.
Yes, I think he tried to take the return catch at a short cover and should have simply allowed the backward point or the cover who in the position to get much closer to the ball, much quicker, and he missed an opportunity.
And a young man who's certainly been doing his lineage very proud in this series, Mitchell Marsh. He was the 6th bowler used, bowled 2 overs, and picked up 2 wickets for 12 runs following his really impressive performance with both bat and ball in the 4 T20.
Yes, if there's a an Australian player of the series, it has got to be Marsh. And Marsh could be competing with maybe the top West Indian players for, being one of the outstanding players, both bat and ball.
Yeah, he's certainly impressed, and he will be key to this Australian run chase. The West Indies will know that they've put runs on the board and they've put the highest total on the board in this entire series so far. It's up to the West Indies bowlers to defend what they've in fact put on the board, and that job falls to O'Shane Thomas, Sheldon Cottrell, Hayden Walsh Jr., Andre Russell, of course, and we'll see maybe if Chris Gale gets an over or two.
Well, the entire innings watched by maybe the biggest crowd in this 5 T20 matches. Certainly, I think we got another 40 or 50 people more than we had previously. We can't see how many people are in the boxes about, but you stroll up there having responsibilities for the Sandler's box. A quick guesstimate of how many people may be up there?
Well, the boxes are pretty well populated. I'd say about another 100 or so persons, another 75 to 100 persons. But the players are now making their way out into the middle. And at this point, some more comments from Reds, and I hand over to Ryan O'Brien.
Well, the Australians and the West Indians will take off tomorrow. We wish that all will go well in Barbados, and we are hoping that if it's possible that there may be spectators allowed at Kensington. We as commentators all had our 2 jabs, and I suppose that will be part of the requirement in Barbados. I don't think they will have a difficulty with the protocols, because the press box is very much away. The Kosher Short press box is on the far side, and we hope those 3 ODIs will be interesting and competitive. Ryan O'Brien.
Well, thank you, Joseph Reds Pereira, and also to Sunil Ramdeen. As you mentioned, 2 jabs. I was a bit stunned by that, but then I recognize that the jabs, despite the fact that there are a lot of persons are a bit apprehensive about it, but I think those are different sorts of jabs. Maybe some persons concerned about long-term effects and all the sort of issues surrounding them, but that's the way the scientists has prescribed, and maybe not actually the ones that you might get in a boxing ring. But West Indies are sure going to be come out fighting here this evening to defend this 199 that they've scored. So it's an even 200 for Australia to make, to at least win a second game in the series. The West Indies already winning the series. They've been 2-0 up. The rolling is still going on out there. It's quite interesting. The entire West Indies team is in position, and for sure Aaron Finch, the Australian captain, would like to get things going, but you can see the roller still being used out there in the middle, and the third umpire also out there ensuring that the amount of time allocated for the rolling between the change of innings is going to be Sheldon Cottrell, 34 matches, 39 wickets, best of 4 wickets for him, and he's going to start for the West Indies as they look to defend 199 for 8 after winning the toss this evening, and deciding they would have taken a first knock again. Evan Lewis amongst the runs, and the first time that he's really pounded in the series, getting a 79, and actually his third match of the series, his previous highest score being 31, and definitely he did play a big part in the West Indies 199 for 8, but it's going to be Cottrell. We're going to have play on the way, and this one is driven up to the widest mid-on position, can get no run, and it's actually new pair for the Australians, George Phillip, who is on strike, playing that one up on the onside, and can't really beat the short mid-wicket fielder, and Bravo, who is in, coming across quickly, preventing any run. Rather, Lendl Simmons in a short mid-wicket position. Again, Simmons is coming into play, this time to get the single. It's moving much slower to him, so the Australians, they're off and running, and Phillip is coming forward, and actually maybe that one just off the pad. So it's Phillip and Finch opening for the Australians. So it's going to be a very interesting night. Extras 1 on the board. So the Australian innings opening with an extra Sheldon Cottrell starting the attack for the West Indies. They're found over the wicket, and this one is driven by the batsman there, Finch. The Australian captain is straight to the short mid-wicket fielder, and again Simmons is brought into play. 1 without loss. And so far, a decent start. This one, attempted drive by Finch, getting it off the inner portion of the bat and straight to Simmons. So Australia looking to get a start that will get them close to the required rate of 10.21. Cottrell over the wicket. This one is down the leg side. A quick delivery call wide now by the umpire. This one too wide on the leg side. And umpire Dubey just spreading out those arms. And a Cottrell off target. Say good evening once more to Julian Charles.
Good evening, Ryan, and we're in for an exciting evening, the rest of it. And Australia looking to surpass this huge West Indian total.
Well, a couple of extras so far on the board for the Australians. So Cottrell has not conceded any runs of the bat yet. And this one is lost grip of the ball. And the dead ball now being signaled by umpire Duguid. And again, Simmons seems to be involved a lot so far in his innings, even if the ball just sliding out of the hand of the bowler Cottrell, still finding Simmons having to come across to pick up. He's at that shortish mid-wicket position, about 40 yards away from the bat, and has been really brought into play so far in this innings. Just 3 deliveries, and we've also had a couple of extras, 1 leg by and 1 wide, as Cottrell this time is forcing into playing into the offside. Maybe a bit discomforted by being signaled. Now we're just getting that one. He seemed to have a bit of a limp just going up there. Josh Phillip and Aaron Finch is actually off the bat, gets 1. So it's 3 without loss. So we're getting the first runs off the bat. He's probably thought for a moment he might have just come up of the toe or something, maybe just striking that one onto the toe, the lower part of the leg. This one is pushing into the offside, but quit moving there to his right and preventing the run from being taken. So quick alert work there on that occasion from Fabian Allen, preventing any run there. So Cottrell still keeping things tight. 2 runs off the over. 1 more left in the first over of the innings. 3 without loss. Australia looking for 200 for victory this evening. His delivery is down the leg side and a good take by Pooran. Having to move quickly to his left. It was actually picking up some pace after that pitch, Julian Charles, but certainly wide of the leg stump, and a very good take by the keeper, Nicholas Pooran.
Yes, indeed. This one going at about 133 kilometers an hour, and a good take by Pooran high up to his left.
So there's 4 without loss on the board. So more extras and runs off the bat in this first over from Cottrell. You need to really work on that. So this next delivery is short and tempted pull it, maybe gets off the outer edge. Let's see what happens. Wides being called. That one seemed to have really taken off well over the head of Pooran. For a moment, thought that might have had the outer edge of the bat, but certainly maybe more extra pace into that one by Cottrell, and 4 wides being signaled.
Yes, not a good delivery at all. Pretty wild delivery, actually. Dug into the pitch and going well over Pooran's head for 5 wides. So it's not what the captain would have liked to see at this stage.
Well, it's 9 runs off the over and just 8 extra. This one is hit in the air. It's going to be Simmons under it. Settles, takes a simple catch, and that's the end of Josh Phillip. So some reward in the end for Cottrell and West Indies picking up their first wicket, 9 for 1, and certainly they would be happy with that. I'm not sure that they would certainly give that give those 8 extras, Julian Charles, and to benefit from that wicket.
Yes, not a good ball, the previous one, but this one short of a length and more or less too close to the to the batsman, Philippi, for the shot that he played, unable to control the ball as he tried to hit it over mid-wicket, getting the outside half of the bat and the ball lobbing up to Simmons, who took a well-judged catch to send Phillip on his way.
Well, he hadn't scored, and so far the West Indies been able to pick up the first wicket, 9 runs on the board. So one would consider it's a good start for the West Indies, despite the fact that 8 of those 9 runs are extras. And then we're going to have the informed Mitchell Marsh, who is going to come in now with the fall of the wicket of Phillip. He's going to join his captain, Aaron Finch. And the two of them will need to get some stability going for the Australians. And whether this will be the night that Marsh will find it difficult, we'll wait and see. It's going to be Mitchell Marsh, and it's going to be Thomas, who is starting from the Southern inherited Darren Sammy cricket ground, just coming across and plays it square on the off side. The fielder just coming in quickly, preventing any possibility of a run there. So again, the West Indies on their toes. Hayden Walsh Jr. moving quickly in, preventing the possibility of a run, so the pressure being kept up. March not yet off the mark. He's just faced 1 delivery. His captain Aaron Finch is at the non-strikers, and he's faced 2 balls and he's got 1 run to his name. O'Shane Thomas, who picked up a wicket in his first over in the previous game, is short, and we are seeing that it's going all the way for 6, the first 6 of the innings. Julian Charles in the previous game on Wednesday that he had come into the squad, got a wicket in his first over, but then he proved to be quite wayward and short, and we see that he's already short in just the second delivery of this innings.
Yes, bowling consistently short. That's the problem for him, in that if he's mixing it up, then the batsman would not be sure which one is coming, but it seemed to be telegraphing it, and it's shot into the pitch, and Marsh into his wicket like in a flash, and hitting the ball over square leg for 6.
So let's see what O'Shane Thomas does on this occasion. This one is well pitched up, worked off the pad. There's a man down at the deep backward square, but it's too square for him. He can just run to retrieve. So again, Thomas may be short on confidence, straying again on the leg stump, and Marsh taking full advantage and whipping that one away, and he's picked up his first boundary. So he's got 1-4 and 1-6, and that's coming off consecutive delivery. So he's up to 10, and he's faced just 3 balls, and has already powered past his captain Aaron Finch, who's already faced 2 deliveries. Here's Thomas once more, and this time he's driving in the area past the extra cover and the man at point for another boundary. So a 6 and a consecutive boundaries for Marsh, and he really wants to take the fight to the West Indies, and has done so quite successfully so far. 13.80 the current rate, the required rate 9.65.
Yes, and Marsh in sublime form, as we've seen throughout the series, having already had 4 half centuries, looking for a 5th, I believe, and this time just easing himself into the ball. Lovely shot through the cover. It's like they often say, it's like taking candy from a baby. Made it look so easy.
Well, Thomas, 4 deliveries, conceding 14 runs. I think he will probably just need to really settle down. Marsh with 203 runs so far. Lendl Simmons 165. And he's really been pouring his way for the Australian. This one is getting off the back foot. An attempted run out there. But Hayden Walsh Jr. under some pressure. The Australian batsman came through for the single immediately. He didn't pick it up cleanly. And in the end, they were able to get it rather easily. 24 for the loss of 1. Marsh is up to 15. Finch, who is on 1, comes into strike. So 1 more delivery left in the second over. So they're looking to keep ahead of the asking rate, Australia, despite the fact that they've lost a Phillip, who been caught by Simmons of the bowling of Cottrell without scoring. But they've got the informed Marsh, who is there, and he's watching at the non-strikers end. Finch is getting a short delivery. This one is cut, but cannot beat the short extra cover position there, where Bravo fields on 1 bounce. It's 2 overs completed. The Australians looking for 200 for victory, 24 for the loss of 1.
Old-time bakers in Bim bake from home. Remember the Dutch oven made of stone? Then came the bread cart. Oh, you could smell that bread a mile away. And then there was the bread van. Many have made a living selling from them. Now, your bread is as close to your home as you can get it, because there's sure to be a Crumbs bakery near you for a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries, and bread.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
So, Julian, Mitchell Marsh has given us every indication that he wants to continue. His figures really outstanding before this game. 189 runs, 51, 54, 9 and 75 on Wednesday evening. And to this delivery is a short one. He just gets on top of it, guides it down to the short third man position. They're going to come for an extra because he attempted a run out and misses the stump for the direct hit. And in the end, Fletcher backing up at the widest long one position, rifles a return back in to the keeper Puran. He doesn't take it, but in the end it was well backed up and not allowing the second overthrow to be taken. And maybe it was a good effort, because had that struck the stumps, Julian Charles, the Australians might have lost another wicket, and this time by the run out route.
Yes, indeed, it was a clear run out opportunity by Fletcher, I take it, or was it Walsh? I think it was Walsh, and the batsman would have been well short of his ground, at least 2 or 3 yards short.
Yeah, Fletcher also tried when he had backed up, but the Australians were able to complete it. This one is short from Cottrell, again guilty of being too short. Now we see the signal coming, pull wide of mid-wicket. So the West Indies bowlers not getting what they were probably anticipating out of this pitch, maybe a bit too short in length, 30 for the loss of 1. And Mitchell March, he's really propelled up to 21, and he's just faced 7 deliveries, taking the fight to the West Indies.
Yes, indeed. And quickly onto this one, and hit it in front of square, and the ball rocketed to the boundary for 4.
Cottrell once more. This one is just played square on the offside, and his quick work with a fleet-footed Hayden Walsh Jr. prevents any possibility of a run on that occasion. And quite interesting to see what the performance of Hayden Walsh Jr. will be like this evening. He seems to have come into his own as the series progresses, and he's been one of the leading bowlers for the West Indies, if not the leading bowler. And he is at the squarest position on the offside, orthodox point position. And he looks on as Cottrell looks to bowl his fourth ball of his second over, and he's short. And again, this one is just guided square, no ball called by the umpire standing at the northern end, umpire Nigel Duguid. So Cottrell guilty of overstepping there. And 30 for 1. Cottrell 1 for 14 so far. He picked up the wicket of Phillip, who went caught by Simmons. And Phillip had gone without any runs on the board. But so far, this partnership yielding 21 runs. Cottrell in this one, he is short, but can't restrict the scoring. A free flow of the bat on that occasion from Marsh. He's in great form, and the fielder at mid-off can only run to retrieve a defensive field shot based on the power play restrictions down all the way to the boundary, just getting off the back, but just transferring the weight, finding the gap, playing through the line on the top of the bounce. Julian Charles, very good shot from the inform.
Yes, indeed, it was in line and hit the ball, as you described it, only up, bisecting mid-off and the cover.
Well, he's been certainly busy since he's come to the crease. He's on 25, and this one is played into the offside, but too hard into the ground. The fielder coming around quickly, Fabian Allen, he prevents the possibility of the run. So we've had 3 overs completed, and Australia up to 34 for the loss of 1, with Mitchell Marsh dominating the partnership of 25 so far, all of them to him. Aaron Finch is on 1.
And just the start, Australia would be looking for just about close to 11 runs and over, so they're very much in it. The West Indies will need to pull it back, but Ryan, what we haven't noticed enough variations from the fast bowlers in the initial spells, and this is something I've been noticing, that when they come back they tend to mix it up, but in their first spell they just tend to bowl as quickly as possible, giving the batsmen an opportunity to pick up their line and length.
Well, the comparisons, the West Indies were 30 before loss, and the Australians 34 for 1. So pretty close, and it's Fabian Allen who's going to come in best for 2 for 18. He's coming on from the southern end. This one is short, spank down to the short extra cover position, The ball is partially stopped by Bravo, the fielder coming across from mid-off to complete the fielding there. So one more to the score. Australia to 35, the loss of one. Fabian Allen, none for one. The left-hander deciding to come wrong the wicket. This one is again short and providing the batsman with sufficient time to spank it down to the deep extra cover boundary, bisecting the deep extra cover and the mid-off down to the boundary for 4. So Marsh is certainly in a purple patch. Julian Charles, he rushes up to 29 and the Australians to 39 for 1.
Yeah, Marsh definitely not missing any opportunity to score, giving himself some room and punching this one off the back foot for 4.
And looks like he will definitely be the leading scorer in this entire series as Allen is in once more on the wicket, and this time is down the leg side. Attempted sweep down, maybe just coming off the pad and not making no real contact on that one. Just looking to work that one down the leg side or continue to help it down its way. And luckily for Allen, no contact being made. This one is just played up into the vacant, wideish mid-wicket region. The field having to move to his right from mid-on. And a single. Marsh moves into the 30s, is on an equal 30 and the score to 40 for 1. Aaron Finch comes in to strike, and I'm sure Julian Charles will be happy with the approach of Marsh again this innings. And this one is short from Allen. He finds the gap between the backward point and the man at the extra cover position. Another boundary being conceded. So the West Indies certainly having a problem with their lengths this evening, Julian, and conceding a number of boundaries, 6 so far and 1-6.
Yeah, well, Allen also guilty of giving the room short and outside the off stump, and Finch was able to come back and cut beautifully through the backward point for 4.
So Allen conceding 10 runs off his first over, still one delivery left, and this time is driven by a Finch between mid-off and the mid-on. The mid-on field having to run to his left. They're coming back very comfortably for the second run. The return coming way up to the wicketkeeper Nicholas Puran at the striker's end. They're overcoming to an end. So we've had 4 completed, 46 for 1. Australia looking for 200 runs for victory in this 5th and final T20 International. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs Bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community, this time at Silver Sands in Christchurch. Another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. Crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Welcome back to the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, and Julian, this could be a very crucial partnership as to exactly how the Australian batting would fare, because these two have been the most outstanding for the Australians, particularly Marsh. So this partnership could well determine what sort of platform that the Australians would set in their chase for 200 for victory. But we're going to have a bowling change from the northern end. It's going to be Andre Russell, and this delivery is well pitched up. The bowler in his follow-through takes the cotton bowl chance. Good work by Andre Russell. He was on his follow-through in his stride and accepting the catch gleefully. So the Australians losing the second wicket. The West Indians coming together with the second wicket for Australia, going down with the score on 46, with Marsh, the danger man, going cotton bowl by Andrew Russell for 30.
Big wicket for Andrew Russell. Marsh has been the one dominating for the Australians, and he looked in such great form tonight. And I was just thinking that for West Indies to win this match, they need to get match out pretty early, and so then hitting the ball back to Russell, who took a very good catch on his follow-through. Return catch is not being easy at all.
Yes, Julian, so Moses Aniquez, who is going to come in to fill the bridge, he too has been among the runs. So March of a brisk innings, 30 from 15 deliveries. They would have needed both himself and Aaron Finch to bat much deeper in the innings, but the West Indies, I'm sure, pretty pleased with the fall of Marsh, and I'm sure that will inspire the entire West Indies team to really keep things tight and restrict the Australians under 200.
Yes, the wicket coming against the run of play because Marsh was in such good form.
So Andre Russell immediately successful, and he, I'm sure, will be perked up. He goes away from us now, and he's going to be passing the umpire Dugan. This one is played up on the onside, all the way down to the long on. Sheldon Cottrell comes off the boundary, sends a return 1 bounce up to Puran, and the Australians move up by 1 to 47 for the loss of 2. And it would seem that that wicket is one of the best ways to cut the scoring rate is to get wickets, Julian Charles, and maybe the fall of Marsh. Could see probably the West Indies will be hoping to restrict the scoring of the Australians. This time Russell is firing one down the leg side, played down to a mid-wicket. Fletcher comes off the boundary, but a single easily completed. Finch up to 9 and the score to 48 for the loss of 2. The West Indies certainly wouldn't mind that, the way that Marsh was really pouring along. Glad to see the back of him, and now it's Andre Russell who is keeping things tight. He's already picked up a wicket, just conceding 1 run. So he's doing a good job for the West Indies. One is played down to the deep mid wicket. Again, Cottrell is coming off the boundary. He comes forward, sends a return 1 bounce again into the keeper Puran. So the Australians are just dealing in singles at the moment. Andre Russell had 4 balls, conceding 3 runs, 1 wicket. A dream start for him. And he's been full. He's been on target, Julian Charles, and I think that was it, the really definitive part of his attack so far. This delivery is again up to the batsman, right down in the toes, almost a Yorker length. And the batsman just having to scamper back in his crease, Aaron Finch. So good over so far by Andre Russell. Just 1 delivery to complete it. His first over, 1 wicket, just conceding 3 runs. He will need to finish off well, Julian Charles, and that one almost into the toes of the Australian captain.
Yes, what we'll notice is Russell just getting the ball to almost reverse swing, tailing in, looking for this full Yorker.
Here he is once more. Let's see how well he can finish things off for the West Indies in his fifth over. It's full down the leg side, spoiling it. It's going to be a call, a signal coming now, maybe just off the bat. The signal coming runs off the bat. So conceding a boundary of his final delivery. We've had 5 completed. And at the end of the 5th over, Australia 53 for 2. We'll have more from Julian Charles before we have our next commentator bringing you into the next stint here. The West Indies posting 199 for 8, and Australia with their target of 200, 53 for 2.
In the main, a very good over by Russell, getting the very important wicket of Marsh. He bowled a number of Yorkers, but there was always an indication that maybe he needed to vary his line, vary his length, because it's not easy to bowl 6 Yorkers in an over. As we see, Allen comes in and the ball beautifully struck over extra cover for 4. My word.
Good looking shot. Moses Enriquez being brought up the order after the loss of Mitchell Marsh, who they would have wanted to stay there for some time. Thank you very much, Julian, as we're joined by Joseph Reds Pereira. The score 57 for 2. Fabian Allen continues to Enriquez. A slight change to the field. Cottrell now being brought across a backward square position. Allen up. This one strikes Enriquez on the pad. Vociferous appeal from Allen, but he's the only one who did appeal. The umpire shook his head. Another dot delivery, Reds.
Yes, Henriquez.
Allen into Henriquez. He sweeps that one. There's nobody on that long leg boundary. In fact, it appears to have cleared the boundary. We wait for the signal from the umpire. He signals 4, so he did not quite get it over the boundary. 4 runs for Henriquez. He moves on to 10, 61 for 2.
And of Portuguese mixed, and maybe the only Portuguese international from Australia.
Yeah, yes. We knew who he would have supported for the recently completed Euros. Fabian Allen, left-handed around the wicket into Enriquez. He works that one into the vacant mid-wicket position. The fielder looks like Lewis races in off the boundary, and they run through for a single, 62 for 2.
Originally born in the same hospital as Ronaldo.
Well, they both clearly went different directions. This time, Aaron Finch leans back and cuts that ball and cuts it well, all timing, gets it into that boundary at point. It's 4 runs. Finch, he moves on to 17. The score on to 66 for 2.
Nice looking shot by the Australian captain. Bisecting the backward pointed cover, well hit, nicely timed, and strong a bit of the right hand.
Allen with cover on the onside. These deliveries, you expect he'd want to be bowling into the pad as he does now. The Aussie skipper just works it into the onside. There'll be no run. Puran runs across and fields. The score at the end of the over, Australia 66 for 2.
Yes.
Any time is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
So the power play has just been completed. The Aussies, they've gotten a 66 for 2. Not bad. They would have wished Marsh had stayed.
Yes, I think the crowd would have liked Marsh to stay because he was so good to watch. I mean, really a lovely strike of the ball.
So O'Shane Thomas is back from the northern end. Not a very good start again this evening. His first over went for 15. He'll want to improve on that. He's bowling to Henriquez now. Over the wicket, pitched up. Henriquez drives. There is cover on that extra cover boundary. The fielder Lewis coming in and returns it to Puran. Just 1 run. Henriquez is on 12. The Aussies are 67 for 2.
It's amazing how names might have just been, changed a little bit. In Guyana, that would be Henricks.
Yes. In fact, I think a lot of people thought originally it was Henricks until we were corrected. Thomas, which you can't get wrong, into skipper Aaron Finch. That one outside the off stump. Finch goes an ambitious drive, doesn't connect. The ball goes through to Puran. There's no run.
And I think Thomas losing a yard or 2 because of the run-up not being smooth. The last 6 steps towards the crease, he is virtually chipping, shortening the stride just to make sure that he doesn't bowl the new ball and is stopping his rhythm, stopping his pace.
And he practically stops before he delivers. That one pitch up, Finch drives, gets a sharp outside edge. There's no slip. There's no first slip. Chris Gale at a sort of 4th slip position. It flies past the diving and despairing Nicholas Puran, runs into the boundary. Aaron Finch, he moves to 21. That's 71 for 2.
Well, that went like a bullet past the right glove of Puran. Good point you make. If Gale was in a more orthodox position, he would have been in a position maybe to take it to his left.
He's been moved a bit finer, a sort of 2nd, 3rd slip, 2.5 position. O'Shane Thomas running in once more. This one is full, and Finch can just drive it. He finds the fielder in that mid-off position, no run.
Well, I think Roddy Eswick has really got to have a couple of long sessions, really reconstructing the run of Thomas. Tremendous potential. We remember him bowling Gale down in the CPL. He caught our eyes.
Oh, Thomas into Finch. That one was full. Finch just works it down to the third man boundary using the pace of Thomas. That's 4 runs. We wait to see whether it will be anything else but for a hint. It may have been high, but no signal from the umpire. So that's just 4. Takes Finch on to 25. The score 75 for 2.
Well, that was close to over the waist. Very close.
Actually, in the replay, it was, well, let's just say, Reds, it was quite closer than very close. Thomas in once more. This time, Finch just stops the bowler, just trying to get his concentration. Maybe he would have seen that replay on the big screen, Reds, and it may have put him off a bit.
Yes, might have been dropping a bit, but I would think that Thomas lucky that that wasn't in fact called the way it should have been.
In now to Finch. This one is wide outside the off stump. Wayward delivery. Finch reaches for it, gets an edge once more, beats the diving Paran into the third man boundary. Now it's another 4. Finch, he moves on to 29. The score 79 for 2, and that is the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, I would think that coming out of this series, there have been a lot of positives. The Allen Walsh performance, the 2 openers, for example. But I think the worrying point from the selectors has been maybe the fast men in this game. I think they may well have to look towards the ODI side in Barbados in providing some options in terms of some of the quick men. I think that's been one of the low points of this West Indies side.
So it's Hayden Walsh Jr. into the attack for the first time. He's bowling to Henriquez. This one pitched up on the off stump. Henriquez comes back, pushes it into the offside. The fielder comes off that cover boundary, sends the return in. There'll just be 1 run, takes the score up to 80 for 2. And Reds, obviously you have some things to work out with O'Shane Thomas, which I'll get your thoughts on right after this delivery. Walsh Jr. into Finch. Finch sweeps that one down the leg side. Not sure if he made much contact. However, Gale has to run around from that short fine leg position, do the fielding. Leg by is a signal now. It's 1 more to the extras, 81 for 2. As Hayden Walsh makes his way back to his mark, bowling to Henriquez again. This one pitched up, a bit more pace from Hayden Walsh Jr. Unfortunately, getting the line wrong. It's down the leg side. The umpire calls wide, and it's 82 for 2. So clearly Hayden Walsh Jr. wanting to get into the pads, not wanting to give the batsman any room to play their shots on the offside. Another ball pitched up, this time onto the pads of Henriquez. He works it down to the field at long on and runs through for a single, 83 for 2.
And there are times when you feel that Hayden Walsh could just take an extra 15 seconds, concentrate on what I'm going to do. Googly, leg break. He just seems to get back to his mark and spin around.
Hayden Walsh full on the off stump. Finch just comes forward, pushes it into the offside. There's some room there. Darren Bravo back at mid-off. Walsh Jr. has to run around, do the fielding. They run through for a single. Finch is on 30. The score 84 for 2.
Finch having a second best knock in this 5-match series.
Walsh Jr. in now to Henriquez, and he drives an extravagant drive. That ball now rockets into the extra cover boundary. It'll be 4 runs, and Henriquez has come to the party. He's on to 18. The Aussies have moved to 88 for 2.
Pitched up, maybe initially a leg break. He got the left foot to the pitch and hit it hard. It seemed to be a fairly strong hitter of the white ball.
Hayden Walsh a bit shorter. This time Henriquez just works it down to the fielder in that long on position. It'll just be a single. Henriquez moves on to 19. The latest score at the Darren Sammy Stadium. The Australians chasing a 200 to win, 89 for 2.
Bro, did you know that if you switch to LED lighting throughout your home, that you could save as much as 80% on your lighting costs?
Yes, man.
And did you know, wait, you knew that?
Of course, I also know that with using LED lights, I get brighter lighting that lasts longer and is better for the environment too. And by choosing my LED lights from Caribbean LED, I get up to 3 years warranty.
Wow, you know very much.
I hear all the ads on radio for Caribbean LED. Call them and ask at 621-0092 or visit them in Laura Estate or Wildy if you don't believe me.
So Fabian Allen is back into the attack, this time from the Northern End Reds.
Yes, not having his best night. I mean, I think he performed brilliantly in the first 4.
Left arm around the wicket. Henriquez, who drives the ball down to Cottrell, coming off that long off boundary, fires it into Puran. The batsman ambled through for a single. It's 90 for 2 now.
Hasn't bowled with the same kind of controlling guy.
So Fabian Allen, 2.1 overs, 26 runs he's gone for. Left arm over the wicket into Finch. Finch drives, not making good contact with that ball at all. It appeared to just have come off the under edge, and Puran collects no run. Back to Allen now. Bowling to Finch. Finch chips down the wicket. It's pitched into his pads, so he just turns it behind square leg and runs through for a quick single.
Yes, quite willing to give Henriquez the strike, looking to turn it over. 20 of 12 Henriquez.
Allen, that one short outside the off stump. Henriquez cuts and cuts well, but Hayden Walsh Jr. flies to his left, almost goalkeeper style, takes that, stops that ball, and there'll be no run.
I'm sure he can play in the Premier League in Antigua.
Certainly, as Allen in once more. A good-looking drive from Henriquez, all along the ground to Cottrell in long off, so there'll just be one run. He moves on to 21, the score 92 for 2. With his final delivery of this over, Allen into Finch. It's outside the off stump. He just guides it down to the fielder in that backward point position. Darren Bravo has a shy at the non-striker's end. The batsmen were comfortably home. Finch adds one more to his total, moves to 32. And at the end of the over, the Australians are 93 for 2.
And Puran really trying to find a combination to slow the Australians down, who have been scoring quite quickly. I mean, already they are closing in and on the 100. They've only lost 2 wickets, so they're really setting a platform. I was just thinking, Sinclair, if they were to use Bravo so late in the order, why not play Sinclair as a genuine bowler? He probably would have batted at 9 or 8 or something.
Good point. Walsh Jr. into Finch, short outside the off stump. Finch just eases that into the offside, just backward of point. The fielder coming off the boundary, they're able to run through for 2 runs. Finch looking good, Reds, moves on to 34, the score 95 for 2.
Yes, a lot of experience. He has, lost his place in the test side, but he's now led Australia in the white ball side.
This one full from Hayden Walsh Jr. Finch drives it, and it's a spectacular catch. Looks like Fabian Allen running around from that long on position, almost behind the bowler. He dives through the air, one-handed, with his left hand, plucks it out of the air. The Aussie captain is gone.
Well, I was saying he wasn't having the best night, and he just turned that totally around because didn't have a good bat, didn't have a great ball, and really it looked like if it was going to drop safe.
I agreed, Reds. And ironically, you said not having his best night. It was a rankful toss that Finch really should have hit out of the ground. Did not time it properly. But what a catch from Fabian Allen. I mean, making good ground to run around from that long on position. And then diving almost horizontal, maximum stretch, able to pluck the ball out of the air. And that certainly would have lifted the Windies' spirits.
Well, he first came to prominence at Warner Park in St. Kitts. Took a marvelous, a blinder of a catch, running a full stride, dived through the air and took a superb catch that had the entire crowd and even the batsman who was walking back totally astonished. That was the kind of brand displayed here tonight.
I tell you what, Reds, I think we've just seen a catch of the tournament in a tournament where there have been really good catches. So really outstanding work. The Aussies lose their 3rd wicket. They are 95. The skipper's gone. It brings Alex Carey into strike.
Just for a moment, decision pending flashed up.
I think they probably were looking at the height because, like I said, it was a full toss.
Yep. But Australia have just slipped a bit. They lost somebody who had settled nicely, who added 114 with Marsh, who is gone in the last game. So it's time for the Carey. Well, Carey has been really struggling to get the bat onto the ball outside the leg stump.
A short delivery by Hayden Walsh Jr. outside the leg stump. Puran moves across, collects, it's called wide now. Extras move on to 11, the score 96-3. They're still keeping up with the run rate, the required run rate 9.75. They're scoring at 10.79.
They could have gone for McDermott or Filippi, but they've decided to stay with Carey.
So Hayden Walsh Jr. into Carey again. Bad line, that one on the leg stump. Carey just sweeps and sweeps well. Beats O'Shane Thomas into that fine leg boundary. He gets off the mark with a 4. Brings up the Aussie 100. It's 100 for 3.
This might have been an on the edge, maybe looking to sweep a lot squarer. But Walsh guilty of bowling outside leg stump, and I think that was a cardinal sin.
Carey once more to face Hayden Walsh Jr. This one pitch up, good delivery. Carey just pushes it out into the leg side. They hustle through for a single. Nicholas Buran is quickly out of the mark, picks up that ball and fires in at the stumps. He hits it. Reds, that looks quite close.
Yeah, you know, the advantage of a small keeper against, let's say, one who, let's say, tall as Jackie Hendricks was, or Michael Finley, or Sir Clyde Walcott, is that it would have just slowed down their movement. He was around in a flash, and in a flash, I think he's produced another follow wicket.
That is an excellent bit of... We've just seen 2 excellent bits of fielding. First from Fabian Allen to take that catch, and now from Nicholas Buran. What awesome work. That ball just trickling out onto the leg side. Buran across in a flash, picks it up, gloves are off, hits the stump, and Moses Enriquez is about 6 inches short of his crease. He's out. The Aussies have lost their 4th.
Yes, and they just lost their way a bit. They got 100 on the board, but they've just lost very quickly their 4th wicket. And their middle and low order hasn't quite produced a great deal for Australia. So the West Indies, with things going very wrong for them, it's amazing. It wasn't bowling that brought them back in. A magnificent catch by Allen, and now a great piece of work by Puran.
Certainly, and the West Indies fielding has been the one area they can really be proud of. I think coming out of the Test series against South Africa, and then that T20 series, which they really should have won, lost 3-2 to South Africa. The fielding has really stood out, and we saw another excellent example of that.
Well, Matthew Wade, who's had a third time with the bat. Tonight, not opening, and here's an opportunity to dig Australia out of, what appearing to be a bit of a hole.
So we've seen some of the West Indian traditional openers being used in the middle order. Now we're seeing the usual Aussie opener being used in the middle order. It's Matthew Wade, number 13 on his back, coming in to join Alex Carey, both of them new to the wicket. Hayden Walsh Jr., this one outside the off-stump. Wade just leans back, works it into the offside. The fielder comes around from that cover position and picks up the delivery, fires it in, but the batsmen, they're fast and they go through for 2. Wade's off the mark. It's 102 for 4.
2 keepers in the Australian lineup, both left-handers in partnership.
Hayden Walsh Jr. in once more to Wade. This one pitched up and Wade just pushes it back down the wicket. Good delivery by Hayden Walsh Jr. Good way to end the score at the end of the 10th over. 102 for 4. Ryan O'Brien joins you shortly.
C-I-O, C-I-O. What you doing? Practicing how to say hello in Italian so I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumagalli range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
Si, Fumagalli.
Alright you, head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not CIO, it's pronounced ciao.
Wait. is chow.
Welcome back here. The West Indies looking to press home the advantage. 102 for 4. They are Australians after a decent start. Their current rate 10.20. They're still ahead of the required run rate of 9.80. But they've got a number of their decent batsmen back in the pavilion. So it's all left to Carey and Wade to build some sort of a decent partnership that will help propel them in these final 10 overs. It's going to be Chris Gayle, who's starting a new spell from the northern end. His first ball in this game. This one well pitched up, played to the offside, and Carey will get a single. Brings Matthew Wade into strike. Well, what an evening it has been as far as the West Indies feeling is concerned. And truly magical work by Fabian Allen. Brilliant running catch. And I think we've got more than one Superman in this West Indies feeling outfit. Brilliant catch to this miss the Australian captain Aaron Finch. He had gone off the bowling of Hayden Walsh for 34. And he was certainly thronged by his fielders in Glee. This one is played back up the track to the left of Gayle, who can't stop it. And there's a quick movement there by Allen. So he seems to be in the picture quite often. And every time he seems to be attacking the ball, it looks like something is going to happen. And Julian Charles, the West Indies, I'm sure, will be feeling quite pleased with the situation as it is now. They brought on Chris Gayle, an attempted reverse sweep, and no contact made. And this one just moving to the left of the batsman, and for Puran to come and pick up. So it's a left-handed Alex Carey waits for a Gayle, and this one is again attempting to sweep. Good delivery from Gayle, well tossed up, good decent flight, and too full to the batsman to be attempting that sweep, and no contact there. Now we see Puran signaling is long off. Andrew Russell on the boundary gets a shot from someone in the crowd. This one is pushing to the offside. It's the same Andrew Russell who really hustles in from the long off position, and he's moving quickly to sends a return. One bounce into Puran, who takes it well, and Australia up to 105 for 4. So they're currently behind the rate, 9.69 they're at the moment. The required rate, 10.36. Here's Chris Gayle once more, and this one is short, but he gets up tall and plays it into the onside. This is Matthew Wade, and one more to the score, 106 for 4. Wade moves to 4, and Chris Gayle completes his over. We've had 11 completed, Julian Charles, and the West Indies sure feeling a bit more comfortable and introducing the slower off spin of Chris Gayle.
Yeah, and what a good over it was from Chris Gayle. Good variation, pushing one through, holding it back, shortening his length, and it was really a good over, and now pegging Australia back by just this one very good over. 1 over for 4 runs.
Yes, Julian, the Australians not really dominating this series as they might have if they had probably had a number of players who opt out of this tour, and also the tour of Bangladesh, amongst them David Warner, Pat Cummins, Glenn Maxwell, Kane Richardson, and Marcus Stoinis, and that has really made them not as sharp as they probably would have been. The next focus is on the one-day internationals that's due to be played in Barbados, and the first game on the 20th of July, the second on the 22nd, and the third on the 24th, and then we're going to have the turn of the Pakistanis to tour the region. We're going to have change at the southern end, and this is work one bounce into the boundary, so the Australians still going positive. This one from Andrew Russell, who comes in from the southern end and on just about the off stump, very wide indeed. Julian Charles, a peculiar shot. That could probably have been called wide outside the off stump, but was really worked away by Wade, showing some improvisation and picking up a boundary.
Yes, indeed. Good shot, innovative shot. In this modern game of T20, you see all kinds of shots. You'll see none more strange than that one.
Yes, and it's going to be Russell who will continue from the southern end. He's got a slip. He's got a short fine leg in O'Shane Thomas, a backward square Bravo. This one is played into the offside. The fielder just rushing in of the deep extra cover position. Gets a return into the bowler's end, restricting them to 1. The Nelson on the board, 111 for the loss of 4. Australia, we're into the 12th over of the innings, being bowled by Andre Russell. 1.2 overs, no maidens, 12 runs, 1 wicket. And that wicket certainly started a good spell by Russell when he had Marsh caught and bowled. And it's certainly gone on to keep things tight. He's been brought back on from the southern end. And this time he's coming forward. They are slow delivery to Carey and deceive there with the pace. And the ball just going through to the keeper. Puran, who's taking it low down. And again, there is no run. So it's 111 for Australia. Julian Charleston, they seem to have been losing a bit of momentum in the fall of those recent wickets.
Yes, and that's what West Indies want, to just peg them back every over, peg them back.
Well, it showed this series would have the West Indies in their ranking in the international arena, in the T20s international. This one is played down to the mid-wicket region. And Andre Fletcher, who we haven't really seen that much, he's out in the deep. He's down at the deep mid-wicket position. He comes in and it just restricts the Australians to 1 is 112 for 4. And Carey goes to 7, brings Matthew Wade into strike. He's on 9. The men's teams ranking ODI, New Zealand, England, Australia, India, South Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh. West Indies in at 8, Sri Lanka 9, and Afghanistan in at 10. So the Australians, they're in at 3, but maybe the West Indies could feel happy that they've been able to pull off a series win against a team that's ranked higher than them in the T20 Internationalist. Delivery from Russell too far up, driven, given a treatment over the mid-off, who is a bit wide, and down to the boundary for 4. So a very good shot by Matthew Wade, picking up a boundary and helping the Aussies to 116 for the loss of 4.
Yeah, Wade has taken a liking to Russell in this over. This one pitched up and Wade hitting the ball high over mid-off, 1 bounce for 4.
Well, he's not really set the St. Lucian spectators, neither did Darren Sammy Grong alight, but he's trying to get some runs here this evening for the Australians. His delivery is short and he's on the back foot, hitting it square on the offside, but just can't beat the man at point. Coming around quickly to his left, Lendl Simmons cutting it off. The over being completed. We've had 8 completed. Australia 116 for 4.
It's a super sale now on at CaribbeanLEDlighting.com. Shop online and find the fixtures you're looking for at super low prices. Get flush mounts, wall mounts, vanity lights, pendants, and even chandeliers, all now on sale. Reap the savings on the perfect accessories to style or restyle your home inside or out. Log on to CaribbeanLEDlighting.com for the super sale now on.
Caribbean LED lighting. Look on the brighter side.
Julian, before this innings, Wade having some 61 runs, 33 no score in the second game, 23 in the third, and 5 in the fourth match. And I'm sure he'll be looking to finish off the series with some runs. It's Chris Gale, nonetheless, who's going to continue from the northern end. This one is a delivery that the batsman gets to the pitch and forces a Russell off the long off boundary. So 1 more to the score, 117 for the loss of 4. Carey just moving up by 1. He's up to 8. Matthew Wade comes back into strike. He's on 13. The partnership so far 17. Do we really need to push on with this partnership if they're going to come close to the victory target of 200? Current run rate 9.62. They require 10.60. This one is down the leg side and just getting inside of his wicket, playing it short up on the onside, forcing Puran to come from behind the stump. There's no one close in attendance, so he has to go for it. And they have just gone through for the single. 118 for 4. So Chris Gale has done some good work so far. He sent down 8 deliveries, 1.2 overs, and just conceding 6 runs. I'm sure Puran would be happy with his work so far. And to this delivery, the batsman has taken on the pad, more or less an appeal from the crowd here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. The patrons who have been allowed in with their 2 shots of the vaccines, most likely AstraZeneca, unless you've had some other visitors who have come in from overseas. And that's the vaccine currently available here on island. As Chris Gale from the northern end, this delivery is full and struck back up to the bowler, so he's doing a very good job. 1.3 overs, no maiden, 6 runs, and proving his worth with the ball. You can remember the West Indies coach Phil Simmons speaking about his worth and how enthusiastic he is in terms of even getting a bowling spell. Sometimes asking for his bowling duties. This one is a delivery that you find the batsman Carey looking to reverse sweep. It's too full to the batsman to really execute the shot properly. and it just goes into the onside. He has to remain on 818 for 4. And Gale just one delivery left to complete his second over again. He's pitching that one well up, and not if they sort of flight out, given the batsman an advantage to get it on the full. He's playing it down to long on, and that magical man is there, Fabian Allen, restricting them to just one. So we've had 13 overs completed, and Australia 119 for 4. Julian Charles, the current rate 9.15, and the required rate 11.57. So the West Indies looking to really put a triangle hole now on the Australian score.
Yes, and it was at this stage of the inning that West Indies really propelled themselves the next 3 or 4 overs or so. So Australia will need to do that if they're going to get anywhere close to West Indies total. But Gale bowling a second over, really top class over, for just 3 runs at a time where Australia needs at least 10 runs and over.
Well, Julian, Mitchell Marsh certainly ending the series as Australia's top batsman, 219 from his 5 innings. A really good consistency from him, 51, 54, 9, 75, and 30 this evening off 15 balls in just 13 minutes. And he struck 5 fours and 1 6. Let's see how this pair can continue to add to the 119 for 4 after the 13 overs that have been sent down so far. And we have a side hole up as some adjustment is being made to the field. A man is moving at the orthodox extra cover position. And it's going to be Russell continuing. This one, this time is over the wicket. This one is struck in the air. The fielder coming in from long off. Will he get under it? Yes, he does. Takes the catch. So Australia losing another wicket. This time it's Simmons out there coming in. Looked confident. It seemed like he was always going to get under it. Took his time. Got into a good position. And Russell is back in the action as he's picked up another wicket. Australia losing their 5th wicket with the score on 119. Julian Charles just getting too far under that one, getting the elevation but not getting the distance. And Andre Russell sure is happy with his work, and Carey goes caught by Simmons of the bowling of Russell for 9.
Bit of variation there by Russell, just holding it back a little bit, and Carey into the shot a lot too early. The ball going high in the night sky, and Simmons running around taking a very good catch. If it's one thing we have seen in this West Indies team throughout the series, is the vast improvement in their fielding. Simmons running around, making this catch look a lot much easier than it was, Ryan.
Yes, Julian Charles. He had a lot of time. He got into the landing zone pretty quickly. So it's going to bring Ty to the middle, and let's see how much support he can give to his partner, Matthew Wade, who is on 14. So the Australians peg back once more, 119 for 5. As Russell passes the umpire. This one is outside the awesome, just looking to come down heavily on that one. Doesn't make any contact. It goes through to Poran. So Ty is coming in also for his first game of the series. And be looking to at least say that I've come to the West Indies. I did get a play, albeit in the final game. Andrew Ty. And he's going to certainly remember this outing in the Caribbean, despite the fact that he hadn't really gotten too many games. This one is struck down to the widest long on position. It beats 2 fielders trying to converge on it into the boundary. So on this occasion, Matthew Wade making some contact and picking up a rare boundary at this stage, 123 for 5.
Yeah, why Wade keeping the Australia chances alive, been scoring rather quickly since he came in, and as long as he's there out there, there is hope.
Yes, but he will really need to push it up. Their current required rate, 11.85. They're just about 9.11. They're not too far off, but with 5 wickets already down, it's going to be a bit difficult. It's going to be a challenge. This one is well pitched up, some pace taken off it as well. Just played into the offside, and just a single taken there, and the score going up to 124. Now for the loss of 5. Australia, remember their target is going to be 200, so they're still 76 runs away. Julian Charles, and the overs quickly ticking by.
Yes, this is the nature of the game, the T20. The overs quickly goes by, and Russell coming back, really having a big impact on this game with 2 wickets in 2 overs. And one would have to say that the pendulum has just shifted towards the West Indies.
Well, after 9 overs, the West Indies were 115 for 2, and the Australians at that point were 93 for 2, so they really got a lot of work to do. Their current rate 9.07, the required rate up now to 12. So we're going to have continuation from Russell, 2 for 22. Just had a slight hold up as some fielders are getting into position, and this one is looking to work down the leg side, probably a stifle appeal from the bowler, and it's Walsh Jr. coming across to his right, but in the end good running by the Australians, picking up a couple, and the score gradually going up now to 126 for the loss of 5. So West Indies sure happy now. Julian Charles are restricting on the free flowing of the Australians with those last few wickets, and the boundaries seem to have dried up a bit.
Yes, this one sped into the batsman's pads, and it was lucky really that there was not at least a review. The replay seems to show that it's a lot closer than one thought.
74 more from 37 balls as Andre Russell passes. Umpire for this one is short. He's looking to pull. Luckily for him, it eludes the keeper. It's Hayden Ward Jr. coming across from the fine leg position. He comes across quickly. He's fleet of foot. Sends a return back into the keeper. Poor run, 1 bounce. We've had 14 overs completed, 127 for 5. There still remain 73 runs to score. Julian Charles of 6 overs, so the odds certainly seem to be in West Indies' favour. 73 more to win from 36 balls, and the equation is certainly in the favour of the West Indies.
Yes,
Old time bakers in Bim bake from home. Remember the Dutch oven made of stone? Then came the bread cart. Oh, you could smell that bread a mile away. And then there was the bread van. Many have made a living selling from them. Now, your bread is as close to your home as you can get it, because there's sure to be a Crumbs bakery near you for a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries, and bread.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
So 73 more from 36 balls. Darren Bravo carrying the towel, Julian Charles, and Chris Gayle being rewarded for his good spell so far. 2 overs, 5 dot balls, 7 runs conceded. Lovely figures from Chris Gayle, and being rewarded with a 3rd over. And he will be operating from the northern end, just a couple of steps, and he's bowling to Ty, and Ty looking to work that one on the onside, and we'll wait for the signal from the umpire. Looks like it's off the pad exactly. The leg by being signaled now, so 1 more to the extras. 12, 3 leg bys, 9 wides, and the West Indies doing a decent job today. 12 extras after 14.1 overs. Australia 128 for 5, and that's due mainly to a knock of 34 by Aaron Finch and Mitchell Marsh, who's been outstanding throughout the series. He went for 30. They've been the dominant batsmen so far, and they were contributed. Good contribution also from Moses Anikes. He's gone for 21. This one is full and worked down to long on, and Allen comes across quickly. He's been outstanding, moving fast in the field, and just restricting them to 1. 129 for 5 for Australia. Andrew Ty will come in the strike. He's on 3. Wade moves up to 20. So Wade was done opening duties in the previous games. He's gone up to 20 here. Coming in at number 6 in this inning. This one is played down to the widest mid-wicket position. Andre Fletcher coming across quickly and just restricting the batsman to 1. So Chris Gayle again getting through his over rather quickly. 14.3. There's 3 deliveries left in his 3rd over, and he's had some decent returns, and none for 9. So he's bowled well. He's been straight, and he's had a good length, and it's a case where the Australians don't want to miss for Chris Gayle to hit, and this time it's just choking him with that one. He's coming forward and getting it off the bottom portion of the bat. There was Matthew Wade. So a good delivery, a good spell so far from Chris Gayle. So far, Julian Charles is really showing that he's still very much into it.
Yeah, though the wickets have fallen off the other end, but it's because of the pressure that Chris Gayle have brought to bear on proceedings.
I'm sure he will be happy with his contribution to the team this evening. This one is, again, a decent delivery, again similar in length and in line, not wanting to take the chance to really go full throttle at it, of the inner portion of the bat, gets it very low as well. And Wade is annoyed with himself, just can't seem to get Chris Gayle away. One delivery left in the 15th over. And this one is looking to work off the pad, doesn't make contact, and the crowd is roaring in approval. That one off the pad, just falling in front of the wicket. And to bring you up for the remainder of the Australian innings, we've had 15 completed, 130 for 5. The target 200, another 70 to win. We'll have more from Julian Charles. And just to bring it to the end of this match and to the end of the series, it's going to be Sunil Ramdin.
Chris Gayle bringing all his experience to bear, using the variation, flighting the ball, pushing it, using Yorkers, and Wade completely bemused, not knowing what to do, hitting out in frustration, tapping the ground, the bat very hard in the crease. Chris Gayle really turned the screws there to ensure that the Australian run rate is pushed up as high as possible. But we're down in the final sessions, and Sunil Ramdin will continue the commentaries.
Thank you very much, Julian. Well, Chris Gayle, he didn't score a whole lot of runs, certainly saved quite a few. Andre Russell now from the southern end to bowl to Andrew Tye. Works it down to the fielder in that long on position. It'll just be a single. He moves on to 5. The score 131 for 5. And Gayle, as I'm joined by Joseph Reds Pereira, doing the job with the ball.
Well, I said when Simmons came on to bowl after the rain break, why not Gayle at that point? And I feel that Gayle would have conceded half the runs that Simmons did, and that probably was the difference between Australia winning and the West Indies losing.
Yeah, certainly in that last match. Andre Russell, he's in to bowl to Matthew Wade, who just can't seem to get it right. This time he does get it right, just picks up that ball on a length and swings it over that square leg boundary, clears the rope. It's a maximum, is it? I think the umpire just trying to make sure whether that in fact did clear the rope. It appears to have done so from where we are. Again, not the best position. We have a lot obstructing our view of that boundary, but yes, it is 6 runs. Matthew Wade, he's on 26 to score 137 for 5.
Almost a flat 6. A flat 6. He had a lot of frustration in the last over trying to get back to ball to Gayle. The length was, dartish. But on this occasion, no trouble at all in swinging that through the onside. 63 of 28 balls. That's a very thorough order.
Russell's had a bit of a mixed bag. He's picked up a couple of wickets, but he's been a bit expensive. 32 are going for 10 runs and over. He'll want to fix that now as he runs in to bowl to Wade. This ball pitch up and he's bowled him. That one, a quick delivery, certainly got the line and length right. Wade trying to hit him out of the ground again, came nowhere close to that delivery. He's lost his wicket. The Aussies are in all sorts of trouble now, Reds.
Yes, I bowl, you swing, you miss, I hit. And it was as simple as that. Russell really running in, good rhythm, very quick arm speed, and fired that being into the middle stump area, and him being bowled. So what has been a disappointing performance with the bat. His keeping has been, I think, just about average, but Wade has had a very bad time with the bat.
So Matthew Wade, 26 runs off 18 balls. He would have been certainly the one Australia would be depending on to bring it home. They still need 63 to win. It's 137 for 6. Andrew Tye, who's a bit of an all-rounder. He's in the wicket now, joined by Mitchell Swepson, who we know is a leg break bowler. Bats a little bit. He's just had 3 innings, Swepson. Russell in now to the right-handed Swepson. And he takes that almost off his off-stump, Reds. Works it down to Darren Bravo, third man, and gets off the mark immediately. 1 run, 138 for 6.
Well, there's a feeling that most Australians can bat because of the school system, because of the youth system. And he didn't handle that first ball too badly.
He didn't. I'll tell you, Mitchell Swepson, this is just his 4th match, just 2 innings, and he's only had 15 T20 international runs. He'll need every one of those runs tonight if Australia are to, in fact, overhaul this total. As Russell runs in now to Andrew Ty. That's a full toss, and Ty drives. Does he get good contact on it to beat Fabian Allen hustling around from long on? He does. That one almost straight back. That's where you need to hit it. 4 runs. Ty moves on to 9. It's 142 for 6.
And driving through the line, really a powerful looking shot, really launching the body, and the right hand playing a great role in that shot. Very confident shot. Australia need a lot more, many more of that to get anywhere near close.
So Andrew Ty, just 61 T20 international runs to his name. He'll add 6 more to that. Short delivery from Russell. He pulls it and it clears the long leg boundary. That's a 6. Ty, he moves on to 15. The score moves on to 148 for 6, and that's the latest from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community, this time at Silver Sands in Christchurch, another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. Crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
So it's a tight equation for the Australians, just been told by our scorer, Ashley Edwards. 52 required from 24 balls. The run rate is 13 and over. What are your thoughts, Red?
Well, the dream, the impossible dream. I think the West Indies are heading for a 4-1 defeat of Australia.
Cottrell in from the northern end. And again, this young lad Swepson seems to like that shot, just gets back and works that one down to the third man area. Again, almost taking it off his off stump. It's 1 run, risky shot for a single. Takes the score on to 149 for 6.
Yes, not only she's a good scorer, but a good cricketer.
And an ardent football fan, mind you. I hear she loves Manchester United.
I'm searching for a team to back in the upcoming series. I think myself and Derek Murray
you mean Tottenham
have
Hotspurs
broken ties with Tottenham.
It's Cottrell. He's into Andrew Ty, 6'3". He pulls, he gets a top edge. Nicholas Buran runs around and gleefully accepts the catch. Ty is gone, and Sheldon Cottrell, he struck the Aussies in even deeper water. They've lost another wicket, 149 for 7.
Well, that got much too close to him. He was choked up. He managed to get a bit of bat onto it, and Puran, very alert, was able to go back to his left. And for the first time, I think we saw the soldier boy from Jamaica actually saluting. He hasn't had much to salute for or to cheer for, but I think maybe he was saluting the effort of his West Indies captain.
Yeah, salute with a big smile on his face. And you know, Nicholas Puran, I mean, he's really come along. Interestingly, captaincy can sometimes take you backward or forward, and he seems to have really thrived on this opportunity, this responsibility. He's done well behind the stumps. I think he's he's certainly managed his bowlers well and harnessed the resources he has at his disposal. And while he hasn't gone on to score big innings, looks a bit more confident in his batting as well.
Yes, we haven't had many wicket-keepers who have captained the West Indies. You can think of Franz Alexander, but there are not too many. Maybe somewhere in the 30s, there might have been 1 or 2 who have captained, but certainly one for the future, because beyond the World Cup, I don't know how long Pollard will continue to play.
Big Jason Behrendorff in the wicket now. Cottrell in. This one is full and wide, much too wide. The umpire raises his hands. It's 1 more to the extras column, and that brings up the Aussie 50. They're on to 150 for 7. Extras up to 13.
Just a quick question. The Sandals final is on tomorrow?
Sandals under 19 final on tomorrow, yeah, and certainly at the Darren Sammy Stadium. It starts at 10 a.m. Those in St. Lucia can certainly come down and watch some good cricket. There's Cottrell in once more, and almost a carbon copy of the previous delivery. Full, wide, outside the off stump, too wide outside the off stump. It's one more to the extras column. 14, 151 for 7.
And the finalists in that final?
The Sports Academy will be in the final Reds.
Yeah, that's school close by in Rosalie.
Cottrell in once more to Behrendorff. Another one wide outside the off stump, but this time he manages to stay within that line, the umpire's line. So it's a dot ball. Behrendorff trying to score from almost the time he's come in, and he's just not hit a single delivery.
I think we need to say thank you to Joni Charles of Cricket West Indies, who worked with Vice President of the local association in sorting out this box in the bubble. And the box was well chosen. Air conditioned, fridge, just about everything.
Cottrell in once more to Behrendorff. This time he drives and does make contact, beats the fielder in that mid-off position, and it's Fabian Allen running around from long off. They hustle through for 2 runs. For a moment, Allen was hoping to catch the batsman swept short of his ground, but good running. They were able to get home for 2 runs. It's 153 for 7.
And Johnny Charles, of course, from Cricket West Indies, the person based in St. Lucia for this period, who helped, of course, to organize the accreditation for all of us.
And let's not forget my good friend Jewel Maynard as well, who has also flown into St. Lucia from Cricket West Indies. And Damien, the guy who manages a lot of the branding that you see going up around the ground, like CG Insurance, the Sandals branding. Sandals, of course, the principal partner of Cricket West Indies. As we see Sheldon Cottrell in once more to Behrendorff. This one is full, and Behrendorff has a swing at it. Doesn't connect it the way he would have wanted to. Goes over the bowler's head. Andre Russell running around sharply from long on. Pulls it back inside the boundary. They hustle through for 2 runs. Behrendorff's on 4. The score 155 for 7.
Central Castries, St. Lucia Sports Academy. Who is the favorite?
Oh, it could go to anyone. I'm just looking for a good game. It's the first time Grosile won't be in the final. They've won the previous 2 editions of the Sandals Under 19 Cup. Congratulations to them. But we'll see a new winner, a new champion this year, as Cottrell into Behrendorff, who has a mighty swing at that one. Doesn't make any contact. The ball goes through to Paran behind the wicket. It's no run. The score remains on 155 for 7, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, coming to an end, I think, coming off the loss to South Africa, I think the West Indies were able to put that behind them. The opening game, they nearly lost, and that's what the closest that Australia might have got then. Before the West Indies won the series. But I think basically the selectors probably would have been happy with the performance of some, but not all of the West Indies players. Fair to say?
Fair to say, and they certainly rotated the squad to see what can come out of it. Back here at Darren Sammy, 45 more from 18 balls. The run rate is 15 as Hayden Walsh Jr. resumes from the southern end. That one a bit short. Swepson has a swing at it. Doesn't connect well, but the field is spread on the onside, and they're able to run 2 runs. That takes him to 4, takes the score to 157 for 7.
Yeah, maybe trying to get too much of spin and pulled it down. It was more closer to him than anywhere else.
Walsh bowling his 3rd over. That one pitched up. Swepson back on his heels, attempted to pull it through mid-wicket again, not making good contact. There's cover there. Darren Bravo is there, collects easily. There'll be no run. Walsh once more. The 3rd ball of his 3rd over into Swepson. Swepson drives out to the long off position. There is cover on that boundary. It's Lendell Simmons. He picks up and fires into Paran. keeps it down to 1. The score moves on to 158 for 7.
They need a couple of big sixes if they're going to get any close to 42 or 15.
The run rate now up to 16.8. Goes up with every ball. Hayden Walsh Jr. into Berndorf. Berndorf attempts to cut, had no idea where that went. It actually went down to the fielder in that shortish fine leg position, and they do manage to run through for a single. He moves on to 5. The score moves on to 159 for 7.
And Berndorf, I would think his grandfather would have been German.
Hayden Walsh into Swepson, who makes room, stepping outside the leg stump. Hayden Walsh Jr. seen him because he was moving early, fired it into him. He had a swing, didn't make good contact, trickled out to Bravo. At mid-wicket, there's no run. So Walsh Jr. back to his mark with the final ball of this over into Swepson. This one flighted, and it's Swepson on the drive, drives well, makes good contact, and a despairing Lendl Simmons at that long off boundary could just watch it sail over his head. That's a maximum. That's what Australia would have wanted. It's 6 for Swepson, takes the score on to 165 for 7, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, that was a...
Any time is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
So the target is 200. The Aussies are 165 for 7. 18 overs are gone. Sheldon Cottrell starts the 19th from the northern end. He's into Berendorf. Slower delivery outside the off stump. Berendorf wanted to clear the boundary, but had to check his shot in the end. Was nowhere close to it, and that's no run.
Well, he was much true. Well, he was almost completed the shot when the ball was passing.
Indeed, smart bowling from Cottrell. He's had figures of 2 for 25. This is his last over. In now to Berendorf. And that one pitched up drive. Good drive, but it can't clear Fabian Allen, who's in that long off position. He doesn't drop them, and he gleefully accepts that. The Aussies lose another wicket. It's all falling apart now. 165 for 8. Berendorf is gone. There to do that for his bowling, Reds. Certainly hard-pressed to do some batting.
Well, Cottrell's best figures in this 5-match series, and that's one occasion where Allen didn't have to go a yard to his right, a yard to his left, a yard forward. He just waited and took it very cleanly indeed. And the Australians not far away from being bowled out. 8 for 165. 18.2 overs, and the West Indies not very far away from a 4-1 defeat. Great debate among the Australian press about the performance, and there'll be more debate after this.
Cottrell into Swepson. They would have crossed while that ball was in the air. Adam Zampa's come in. He's on the other end. This one a wide delivery. Extras move on to 15. 166 for 8 now.
High scoring game between England and Pakistan today.
Yeah, T20, first T20 as Cottrell comes in. And this one another wide delivery, very wayward. That one even wider than the last delivery. Cottrell certainly won't be pleased with himself. The Aussies are under pressure. You don't want to ease it in any manner. Extras are 16. The score 167 for 8.
Well, that bowling arm just seemed to be dropping. And the height is the straight it will be.
He back to his mark, tries it once more. This time he does get it on target. Swepson back, trying to drive a shortish a delivery short of a length, trying to drive it back down the wicket. All he can do is get it to Cottrell, who fields off his own bowling, no runs.
Yeah, and he did a good bit of fielding, because for a moment he might have just thrown the wicket down.
Yeah, and from the replay, we were just seeing what you were talking about, Reds, in terms of that arm action. Cottrell in once more to Swepson. Makes room for himself. Punches that one into the offside. Momentarily in the air. They hustle through for 2 runs. Could they be short? It's Hayden Walsh Jr. He runs around from the extra cover boundary, picks it up, fires it in, and there's an appeal for run out. The umpire, will he review? They have reviewed. Decision is pending.
Yes, it was a long return. They were looking for the second, and did he get in? Touch and go, maybe just.
The question is the bat grounded? Because it's certainly broken the wicket. The question is, did he ground his bat? And I'm not sure he did. So this may very well be the end of Zampa. In fact, I think he's just waiting confirmation from some of the replays we're seeing. I think we all here at the ground expect the umpire's finger to go up. It does go up now, and
starting
Zampa,
to walk.
Yeah, he's short of his crease, and the decision now, the OUT up on the big screen to the chair of the small but vociferous crowd here. That's some excellent work from Hayden Walsh Jr. running in off that extra cover boundary, picking up the ball somewhere in the mid-wicket area and firing it into the bowler's end. And Zampa, he actually was over the crease, but he didn't ground his bat.
Yep. A fundamental run through the crease. And it's a basic thing you were taught as a boy, and sometimes even the senior players don't apply it.
So now Swepson, joined by Josh Hazelwood. The Aussies are almost spent, 168 for 9. And that delivery wide of the off stump from Cottrell. Swepson having a swing at it, doesn't make contact, goes through to Paran, no run.
And Swepson would be wise to take as much of the strike as possible and not give it to Hazelwood.
Cottrell, this one again on the off stump. Swepson leans back and tries to drive through the offside, but he would have been pulling his bat away from that shot as he drove Reds. Made no contact. The ball goes through to Paran, brings us to the end of the 19th over. Australia are 168 for 9 with the writing very much on the wall.
Yes, Hazelwood and his partner Swepson chatting away. They could be talking of what they need off this last over. They could be maybe discussing which restaurant in the bubble we'll probably have dinner.
You never know. They might be saying 32, gettable. Do you think it's gettable, 32?
Well, how many no balls you need?
How many sixes you need? Certainly Hayden Walsh Jr. with an easier job than Mitchell Starc had during the last game when he had to defend 11 and Andre Russell was batting. He has to defend 31. Bowling to Hazelwood.
Hazelwood is going to swing for the hills.
Walsh Jr. into the left-handed Hazelwood, and he does swing for the hills. It goes high, but does it go far enough? Andre Fletcher running around from backward square leg on the boundary. That one just didn't carry far enough for him to get to it. The batsmen run through for 2 runs. Hazelwood is off the mark, 170 for 9.
Well, I wasn't far wrong. It just dropped like a golf ball right in front of Fletcher.
It didn't quite reach the hills. Hayden Walsh Jr. into Hazelwood, and he drives, and that's a good-looking drive. Gets it down to that long-off area, beats Fabian Allen, who's quick, but he's... And it goes into the boundary now. Josh Hazelwood goes on to 60. Aussie total up to 174 for 9.
Dying with his boots on, hitting it high to cover.
It was there for the drive, and 6'4" Hazelwood, duly obliged.
Big, powerful man he is.
Hayden Walsh Jr. This one pitched up, and Hazelwood drives and drives well. That one was there to be hit once more, and this one is out of the ground. Clears Lendl Simmons in that long on position. It's a maximum Reds. He's gone on to 12, 180 for 9. Are you worried yet?
I'm not worried, but I did say he's going to swing for the hills, and he is swinging well.
I'll tell you what, he's played some golf, and that was a fine golf stroke, and it really carried. They're retrieving the ball now, of course, with COVID protocols. Has to be sanitized before it's returned to the bowler, which it is now, Hayden Walsh Jr. So the target 200. The Aussies need 20 in 3 balls. Mathematically, somehow possible, but Walsh Jr. Into Hazelwood, he drives, and this time he finds Darren Bravo in that mid-off position. No run, and 180 for 9, 20 in 2 balls, Reds.
They can start shaking hands at this point.
So the last time the West Indies won a series against Australia, it would have been in 1995, an ODI series. They would have won it 4-1, and they seem to be set to repeat that winning margin tonight as Hayden Walsh Jr. into Hazelwood, swings across the line, could only manage to get the ball down to Simmons in that long on position. They run through for a single. He moves on to 13. It's 181 for 9.
Well, 13 of 5, he's improved his batting average because he might come not out.
He's added quite a bit. Final ball of this series, Hayden Walsh Jr. into Swepson. He pulls, and the fielder runs around from that deep mid-wicket position. Hayden Walsh Jr., good fielder, collects on the boundary, fires it in. They'll just cross for 2 runs. Swepson moves on to 14, 183 for 9. It's all over. The West Indies have completed an emphatic 4-1 series win over the Aussies. Who would have bet on that coming into this series, Reds?
Yes, and you go back to the first game, the Australians might have missed that opportunity, but after that it was all the West Indies until the 4th game, and tonight a 4-1 defeat, and now on to Barbados. I think the teams will be leaving early tomorrow via Hunora, and the first ODI is on Tuesday. How that 3-match series is going to go, we just have to wait to see how especially from the first encounter. That will give you some indication of who is stronger.
Yeah, well, all smiles. Kyron Pollard is there. He hasn't played a single game in this series, but certainly he will be a very happy skipper. We're not sure whether he'll be able to resume duties during the ODIs. But quite an evening for the West Indies. It started with Nicholas Pooran winning the toss, the first time he's won the toss in this entire series, and opting to bat. The West Indies certainly got off to a flyer. Andre Fletcher and Evan Lewis opening, and they hit the ball around in the first couple of overs. But once more, Andre Fletcher just couldn't read Adam Zampa and was bowled for 12.
Yep, and Zampa didn't start very well at all. The first three games he was very expensive, but bowled with a lot more control, a lot more guile, and ended the series. I think we are standing by for a possible joining of the small interviews after.
Yeah, we're just standing by for the post-series ceremony, where we'll get to hear from the captains and player of the match, and I'm sure player of the series as well. Maybe who do you have down as player of the series, Reds?
Well, since I wasn't asked to adjudicate the match, I didn't quite